Now, thing on. Hey, we have audio. That's good. Let's, you know,
Is your bar looking a little ordinary? Is it lacking something awesome? Well, head out to your local liquor store and pick up something extraordinary. Grab a bottle of Old Humble Straight Whiskey or Old Humbles. They're clean, smooth, easy drinking whiskeys that taste the way whiskey should taste. From humble beginnings to an extraordinary finish, Old Humble whiskeys are what your bar needs today. Walk tall, be awesome, and drink humble. Old Humble Straight Whiskey and Old Humble Special Reserve. Get yours today.
ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, welcome back to the Old Humble Distilling Company Wednesday Happy Hour, our Whiskey Wednesday Happy Hour. We are, oh, what's this? Oh, looky there. I have sample flights of my whiskey. Somebody's going to get those pretty little ladies. In the very near future. I am the Old Humble guy. Tonight we are talking about human rights, and we got an open forum discussion after that. So get in here, get involved, get active. We get physical. Get physical, physical. I am looking for something which I have lost, and it is driving me absolutely nuts because I just got it on Saturday. I'm pretty sure, I'm 85% certain it's at the distillery, but I don't know. I don't know for sure where it is. I got my belt buckle and I don't have it on my person, and it is driving me absolutely best set of twins ever. The Twidget app is not updating chat. I wonder why. I wonder why it's not working over there. Oh, my light's not on either. I guess I need to turn my light on so that I can be seen proper like. There we go. That is exactly why I've got the shades on, so that I can see with the lights on in my face. I am the Old Humble guy. I was prepared for this show like 20 minutes ago, and now I can't find my damn belt buckle, and now I'm not prepared anymore, and it's driving me bonkers, bonkers in the brain. So first things first, look at the counter up above my head. We are above 550 subscribers, and what does it say? Whiskey giveaway at 550 subscribers. Where's my finger? It was supposed to be there. It is at 550 subscribers. I've got like the spatial. It's not like straight across because I'm at an angle. I guess I have to be like this. There. I need to go like away from me over here. Anyway, 550 subs. We've got 550 subs. We're going to give away some whiskey. What whiskey are we going to give away? We're going to give away a sample of our double oak rye. We're going to give away a sample of our, is this our straight whiskey? Yeah, of our straight whiskey. You can see it's a little bit lighter than our special reserve. So we're going to be giving away a sample of each one. And tonight, I think I'm going to be drinking. Which one do I want to drink tonight? Tonight, I'm going to drink our whiskey of the night, the whiskey du jour, if you will be our special reserve. We're having special reserve tonight. So tonight we're talking our whiskey giveaway. How on earth can you get a hold? How do you enter yourself into this event? I'm going to hold off and wait. I want to make sure we got more people in to give that update. We got 3 people in chat. There's Tuna. Tuna's in the house. What up, my main man Tuna? Cheers to you. Cheers to Bacon. Goddamn Bacon's in the house. Twidger is not responding, so I'm going to have to close that app out because it is using up space and being annoying. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to see if I can turn it back on in just a second. Like, hey, baby, how's it going? turn on the Twitter app. See what I did? Get that? It's funny. Start. Let's try this one more time. See if it works. Start. Connect. See if that updates the chat bot that I've got going on over here on my left. We still yeah, we're still going. We're still going strong. Everything looks beautiful. Analytics look good. Stream health looks good. Okay. I'm not sure the Twitter app is going to work, so I don't know if I'll be able to put your comments down here. That's where they'll be, right over here. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. Yes, it is working. Absolutely. So, we will give updates. Walter's in the house. Cheers, Mr. Walter. I need to talk to you about labels coming up. So here's okay. Give me about 15 minutes and I'll announce how you can win, how you can be entered to win these. Next week, it'll either be next week. What does my calendar look like? Next week is the last week in May. Is that correct? Yeah, next week is the last Wednesday in May. We may do this on the first week in June to give people 2 weeks to get in on it. Yeah, I think we'll do that. We'll do that the first Wednesday in June. June 1st, we'll give away the whiskey. How do you get entered into winning the flights? Well, it's going to be participation based, and you will have to be present to win. So, there's those two things. And we'll talk about that in just a second. In the meantime, cheers. I got a comment on one of my shorts. Hey, he didn't actually drink the whiskey. So here's what's up. When you see those shorts and I take a shot of whiskey, I have done already. If you're watching the one take that actually made it to air, you're watching at least the third shot, because it usually takes me 3 shots to record those things. 3 takes, 3 shots with the camera to record those things. So if I'm actually taking a shot, you're watching at least the third shot. If you watch me do a short and I take a shot and I fake it, I fake the shot, it's because I'm like on my 6th or 7th take. And it was not going well for the first 3 or 4 shots. And I am not drinking a shot every time I do a take of a video. Because if I do a shot every time I do a take of a video, I am going to be dead. There's not enough whiskey. I make whiskey, not videos. I mean, I make videos, but I have to do them again and again and again and again and again in order to get them done right. Especially if it's a 3-minute video. Holy shit, doing a whole 3-minute video, that is hard. And I'll practice. I'll rehearse it. I'll do it again. I'll do it again, and I'll do it again. And inevitably, I'll screw it up, and I'll have to stop and start over and do it again. Oh my god. So there you go. Tuna, in order to, yeah, exactly. Friday night. Tomorrow night we have trivia. Lisa and I will do trivia. We have pub trivia. We have the questions. I haven't put the show out there yet. I'm trying to get confirmation that Lisa will be here and doing the show. But tomorrow night we have trivia. And then Friday night, Friday. What is the Friday night? There it is. Boom. Friday night, we have our Friday Nights Live right there. This Friday, we have everyone's favorite nerdcore performer. He's a Texas folk. He's a fantastic performer. Our very own Ryan Adam Wells. Where's my fingers? There. Our very own Ryan Adam Wells. Up over my left shoulder here. Ryan Adam Wells will be performing live at the distillery. It's a free show. I knocked it down to free. Come buy drinks, help pay for the artist. We'll have a little bit of food. If you're local, come and get them food. If you're not local and you can't make it, tune in. He is a fun performer. He's an enjoyable watch. It's a great show. Ryan does a good show. I thoroughly enjoy him coming to the distillery. I'm really glad to have him out. He will be socially distanced. He will be recovering from his quarantine period. So he's excited to be there. I'm excited to have him there. We're gonna have food. We're gonna have music. We're gonna have games. We're gonna have strippers. I don't know if we're going to have strippers, but anybody is welcome to do whatever they want. We're out in the woods. I mean, I don't give a shit. Come get naked, have some whiskey, get naked, dance. There are trees that are shaped like poles, so you're welcome to do that thing on those trees. So there you go. That's Friday night. That's Ryan right there. So, how do you get a hold of the free whiskey? That is the next question that needs to be answered. I said give me 15 minutes, right? Has it been 15 minutes? Are we there? It's 10:15. How do you get a hold of the free whiskey? I did not say Lisa's going to be away tomorrow. Tuna. Lisa will be, I'm just waiting for confirmation. Lisa will be there tomorrow night for trivia. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the confirmation because the way I set the show up is different when she's there versus when she's not. And I just want to make confirmation because I don't want to set the show up twice. It's not suggesting she won't be there. I'm just hedging my bets. That's all. That's all. Just hedging my bets. I'm 95% certain she'll be there. So there you go. 95% certain Lisa will be there. If you want to find out, tune in. There you go. Tune in to confirm that she will be there. So there you go. I'm going to unplug that from my microphone. I don't need it on there anymore. I really wish I knew where my belt buckle is. That is bothering me tremendous. I'm going to have to drive to the goddamn distillery tonight and get it from the distillery. I ordered a belt, and the belt came and it was the wrong belt. It was a belt that doesn't have clasp, so you can't put the belt buckle on it. So I was very pissed off about that. I don't understand why belt makers are stupid and can't make belts right. But we'll have the proper belt on Friday, and I'll be showing it off on the show Friday as well as at the distillery. So tune in Friday for Ryan's show for Friday Night Live. Again, I keep getting sidetracked. The whiskey. How do you get a hold of the whiskey? How do you win? McTubis has joined the party. McTubis, that's a name I haven't seen in these parts for quite some time. How do you get a hold of? How do you enter? How do you get entered to win our flight of sample whiskeys? So those are the bottles. Of course, I'll put them in a nice, pretty box, and I will ship them to wherever they need to go. Hopefully, I prefer it to be local, so that I can just drive it over to somebody's house. That'd be kind of cool. But how do you get a hold of these? Okay, so next on the 1st of June, we're going to spin a wheel of doom and glory. The wheel spins. The winner lands on the wheel. I will only spin it once. I will not put my thumb on the wheel. It's a fully automated thing. I have nothing to do with it. How do we do it? Well, you got to get your name on the wheel. How do you get your name on the wheel? You can enter multiple times. How on earth do you enter multiple times? Well, let's start with number one. Entry number one. Be a subscriber. There it is. Be a subscriber. You must be a subscriber to this channel to win. If you're not a subscriber, I'm not giving you whiskey. Screw you. Die on a fire. I'm kidding. Don't die on a fire, but screw you. You must be a subscriber. Of course, you also must be present on June 1st when we spin the wheel. If you're not present on June 1st to spin the wheel, you're not going to win. So be a subscriber. That gets you an entry right there. What's another way to enter onto the wheel? Get into chat. Get your name into chat. You have tonight, tomorrow, and Friday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. You have 6 opportunities to get into chat. That will get you an entry. And yeah, I'll pull these names off of chat at the end of the show. If you're in chat, if you've gotten into chat, your name will be on the list. So I am assuming that everybody is already a subscriber. If you're in chat, you're a subscriber. Just being a subscriber will not get you onto the wheel, but not being a subscriber will disqualify you from being on the wheel. So all 550 of my subs, 553, 554, whatever the number is, will not be entered in. Only the ones that are in chat over the next 6 days. And anybody who's in chat and is not a subscriber will be disqualified. You don't have to purchase to win. No purchase necessary, but you do need to be a subscriber, and subscribing is not a purchase. So there you go. Item number 3, how do you get in? What does this one say? Share the channel or the video. Let's put that right here in the brown. Yeah, share the channel or the video. Share a video, one of the 3 videos, any of the 3 videos. Every time you share a different video or the channel, assuming you have the community feature, and you can do that, then you will be entered onto the wheel. Obviously, that favors people who have 100 subscribers or more, because 100 subscribers is what it takes to get the chat. No, is it 100 or 200? Or is it 300? I don't even remember anymore. It favors whoever has more subscribers, but you know, I'm favoring people who have more subscribers. So there you go. Deal with it. Sorry. Finally, if you wish to get your name on the board more, you can trade in your boozy bucks. Where are your boozy bucks? If you have won boozy bucks in trivia over the last, Jesus, I don't know, 2 months, 10 boozy bucks will get you an entry onto the wheel. You can trade in $10 to get onto the wheel. That is the fourth way to get in. So show up to a show and get into chat. Get into chat. You can have your name on the board 6 times. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You'll be on the board 6 times. If you're not a subscriber, you'll be disqualified. Be on the board 6 times. Boom, you're done. You're in. You got 6 entries. Just like that. Share the video. You got tonight, you got Thursday night, you got Friday night, you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night next week. You can be on the board 6 more times. And then if you have boozy bucks to trade in, if you have participated in trivia at all over the last 2 months, give or take, I think it's been about 2 months. If you have boozy bucks to trade in, boom, you're in. You got boozy bucks to trade in. $10 gets you on the board. Now, all of these rules and stipulations will be in a post that I will put up later tonight or tomorrow. There you go. That's how you will do it. Let me scroll back up through chat real quick. McTubus was the last person. Been a while? Yeah. Old job has been kicking your John Jacobs is in the house. Cheers, John Jacobs. Thank you for sharing Walter's link. He does our labels. You can see he has done fantastic work on our labels. He does our labels, as well as our hats and T-shirts that we have still in the shop. So if you have print work that you need done, talk to Walter there. I could sell the Squidski samples, tuna, at the distillery at least, but I would have to come up with a new label for them if I was going to actually sell them. I would much rather give them out at the distillery for prizes or gifts or things like that. Or like special commemorative things. So there you go. Looking through this tuna. Oh, you just subscribed, Tuna. Thanks. I'm pretty sure you were already a subscriber. Pretty sure. I could be wrong. Mr. Boozy Bucks is the prizes that we give out for trivia nights. Our trivia nights, instead of giving cash and whiskey, we give Boozy Bucks. So pretty much the winners get 20 Boozy Bucks that can be traded in for merch, or even whiskey if you're local enough to get whiskey swapped out. Do I know who shares? I know who shares when I see it pop up on the community board. When I see the video pop up on the community board, I see that I got mentioned, so I know who shares and when it was shared. So yes, I do. Take that, tuna. Let's see here, and I will be watching. I'll be noting. I'll be taking my notes and making my entries, making my list and checking it twice, finding out who's naughty or nice. I have contacts in the CIA. Actually, funny you should mention that, but I can't talk about it. Yes, when oh, you resubscribe. You can't. You don't have to unsubscribe and then subscribe. You can just stay subscribed. If you're not subscribed, okay, hang on. Let me qualify this. I can see the public subscribers on my channel. I'm going to assume if I can't see that you're a subscriber, I'm going to assume that you're subscribed because you're here already. But if there's a way that I can confirm that you're not a subscriber, then I will remove you from the board. because I'm petty. I am very petty, and I will be very petty just like that. Okay. So share it via community. Yeah, not via. I mean, I can't see who shares it on. Well, actually, I can. If you tag me on a post in like Twitter, or you tag me on a post in Facebook or Reddit, or yeah, we are on Reddit. If you share it and tag me on it, I can see that. But you gotta tag me on it so I can see the post. I'll be notified anytime our name comes up in the social medias. I find out about it. But yeah, share the video on the various social. If you tag me. Uh, on a network that we're on. So the main ones: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, uh, Reddit. I think those are the five. Not the weird fringy ones. I don't give a shit about being tagged on uh, Match.com or Tinder or Grinder or any of those. I mean, nobody gives a shit about sharing the show on Grinder. I'm not that cute. I would hang on, I'm doing a thing with my eyebrow. I'm not that cute. Uh, God, that light's bright. Anywho, but yeah, tag me on, share it and tag me, and every time it gets shared, ideally it's on the YouTube forum. There's very little. My research has taught me, has informed me over the last since the beginning of February that there's very little crossover between Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. There's some, but there's very little. When you share a video on Facebook, you might get, I might get a handful, 3 or 4 views. I don't get a significant crossover between platforms. I would much rather people on YouTube, in YouTube, come to me because they're already there, as opposed to having to close this thing and go to that thing and move from here to there. But yeah, I mean, you'll go for it. Do it. Share it far and wide. Print out a screen pic and put it on a bulletin board at your local Starbucks. I'm cool with that. Whatever. You just got to tag me on it. Take a picture of it and then send it to the community portal or wherever. So long I know that. If I don't know about it, I can't put you on the board. So, Cry River. There you go. But I had originally thought that I would put, like, every time somebody got into chat, put them on the wheel, but then people could just be like, yo, 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 and like spam chat. And no, we're not going to do that. I know how you people think because I think the same way. Uh, not sure how I ended. What? What'd you say? Kurt. No one under 60 cares about Facebook. It is kind of a cesspool. It is kind of garbage. I'm not gonna. I don't disagree with that. It is kind of garbage. So there you go. Those are the rules. They're there. Be a subscriber. Get into chat. Be a subscriber. Where's my buttons again? Be a subscriber. Get into chat. Whoops, I'm going ass backwards. Be a subscriber. There it is. Be a subscriber. Get into chat. Share the channel or the video. Tell people about us. And then, or the fourth option is you can trade in boozy bucks. And that specifically right there favors people who have participated over the past couple of months. Participation wins you privileges. Not those kind of privileges, just the whiskey kind of privileges. And this is all about participation. Participation with the shows, interacting with the channel, being part of the community, and helping us to spread the good word about the spirit to many, many more people to be able to do more stuff. That's the goal. That's the intent. And especially on Friday nights, because I want my artists to be seen. I want my performers to be seen. I want them to get a bigger audience. Ryan is about to go to California. How cool would it be for him to leave here and go to California with a suitcase full of fresh views from California? That'd be awesome. And then he could, fill up his venues in California. Or the next time he comes here, we get a whole bunch of people from California because his market is extended to California, and then our views expand that way. But I would much rather him see, or people from there see him here, and then from here they can, participate in his show wherever he goes next. It could, help him grow his market. That'd be cool. I think that'd be a cool function, and that's the whole point of doing the live streams for the musicians to begin with. So there we go. Now, what on earth are we going to talk about tonight? We have an open forum for chat in the second portion of this. We got 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So let me give you a little backstory here. And on the TikToks, we're on the TikToks. The Old Humble Distilling Company is on the TikToks. We're on the TikToks. We're on the YouTubes. We're in the Facebooks. We're in the Facebooks, the YouTubes, the Twitters, Instagrams, and Reddit. I haven't done anything on Reddit in a month of Sundays probably. It's been a while since I've done anything. I haven't posted anything on Reddit. We don't have much of a community on Reddit. I haven't done anything on Reddit, but we're there. So I waste a lot of time on TikTok because I get a lot of time on my hands when I'm boiling water or filtering whiskey or doing whatever. I get some time on my hands. So this guy, I see a video. This guy saying, and this is one of my just constant pet peeves. This guy is making a video. He's talking about how we get rights from the Constitution and blah 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 blah. And this is why it's one of my pet peeves. When people say that we get our rights from the American Constitution, that's just not true. And it's a misreading of the Constitution, but more importantly, it's a misunderstanding of what rights are, and it's a misunderstanding of the history of our country, a misunderstanding of our civic structure, a misunderstanding of our governing structure. It's a misunderstanding of a whole lot of things. It still says be a subscriber over my head. You know what? I might leave that up there. Be a subscriber. No, I'll take that one. But it's a misunderstanding of a whole lot of things. And if you don't understand what our rights are, where our rights come from, and how our government works, then there's no way that you can protect your own rights, our rights. There's no way that we can protect rights. If you think the government gives us rights, like some kind of drunken Santa Claus tossing out candy at the end of a Thanksgiving parade, then you don't know how rights are conceptually created and possessed. And if you think the government gives rights, then you can accept that the government can take them away, and that they're not really rights to begin with. And while I'll accept that the government can take away our rights, they can take away the free practice of our rights. They can't actually take away a right. They can limit your ability to practice your freedom to speak, but they can't take away your freedom to speak. They can limit your ability to practice your freedom of religion, but they can't take away your freedom of religion. Nobody can control who you pray to or when you do it. I mean, like for real. Like, check this out. You see, that's how easy it is to pray. If you want to take just even a split second for yourself to have a moment of meditation, I just did it right in the middle of the damn show. It's easy. It's easy to do it. So that's why it's one of my pet peeves. One of my absolute pet peeves. One of my favorite things to do every year is recite. This is what a fucking nerd I am. To recite the Constitution, like actually read the Constitution. We read the preamble to the Constitution. I do it on this show. Do it on one of our July 4th traditions is we read the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. I don't think I've done it in the past, but sometimes I've actually gone through. No, we read the Declaration of Independence, part of the Declaration of Independence, and the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. That's what our country is. That's the foundational principles of what our country is based in and based on. And one of the fundamental principles that our country is based on is the idea that man is endowed by his creator with certain unalienable rights. Among those rights, not all of those rights, among those rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And in the preamble to our Constitution, it says, we the people, in order to form more perfect union and ... to ensure the liberties and the blessings of liberties to us and our posterity. Like literally, the text of the document, the introduction to the text of the document says to ensure the blessings of the rights that we possess, the liberties that we possess inherently as humans. So, philosophically speaking, Immanuel Kant, John Locke. There's a whole like list of philosophers from like the 1500s, the 1600s, the 1700s, the Enlightenment period of philosophical Enlightenment period. When they discuss human rights and the human condition, this was a transformative period for government specifically, but also societies in general, where the people were acknowledging that the sovereigns don't have the right to dictate how people live, but that the people have the right to dictate how we live, and that our freedom to travel, our freedoms to work, our freedoms to educate ourselves, our freedom to speak, our freedom to assemble, our freedoms to ultimately determine our own path in life were inherently ours to have. There were wars fought over this. Like literally, there were people whose heads were chopped off over this principle. Like literally. This was a big deal way back in the 16, 17, 1800s. It's still a big deal today. But today, we've kind of lost sight of this conceptual principle that human rights belong to humans because we're humans. That's literally why they're called human rights. They're inseparable from humanity. If you are a human, you have human rights. Now, that's not to say that governments haven't always recognized those human rights and that societies haven't recognized those human rights as being inherently possessed by other humans. In fact, our Constitution says quite plainly and quite clearly that men or not our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, our founding principles, that men are endowed with certain unalienable rights. It doesn't say that citizens of the United States are endowed with certain unalienable rights. And in fact, our founding principles always have been, our guiding principles always have been, that we believe that other people possess these human rights. Now, that said, there's been a very long period in our history where we didn't really think that other people were actually people, but we can discuss that another day as well, because we really did, as a people, as a society, as a group, as a community, we did kind of think whole swaths of humanity were subhuman. And that's a dark stain on our history. But it's not just our history, it's also the history of Europeans in general. Needless to say, over time, we ultimately recognized that these people had human rights too, and we extended those human rights. We sometimes forget that even today and think that some people don't deserve human rights and they should be put in cages like animals, and then not given due process, not given their time in front of a judge, not given their time to confront their accuser, and then just put on a bus and shipped back to wherever they came from. Those people are humans too, and they also possess human rights. They also possess the rights endowed by their creator, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. One of the foundational principles in our fight against the Soviet Union was that the citizens in the Soviet Union have the same rights that we have. Their government is oppressing them. That was a repeated assertion by president after president after president when we were in an ideological fight against the Soviet Union. That's one of the justifications for going to war against Iraq. That's one of our justifications for ongoing sanctions against Cuba. We've lifted those sanctions as of I think last week. That's one of our ongoing justifications for our regime change notion for North Korea, that they are oppressing their people. They're violating their human rights on a day-to-day basis. That's what we say about China. China's violating human rights on a day-to-day basis. But they're sovereign. They do what they want to do. They're sovereigns. But we always bring this up to them, that your people have the same rights that all people have, and that you're violating these rights. You need to get your foot up off their neck. That's one of the things encapsulated in this notion of American exceptionalism, that we're the shining city on a hill, that we are an example for the rest of the world, and we want the rest of the world to reflect that example in their own values too. We try to share those values with everybody else. We try to instill and share and lift them up and say that, yes, even you have a right to free press. Even you have a right to free speech. Even you have a right to bear arms and be secure in your person, in your papers, and all the same freedoms that we have here, we encourage in other people. So as a foundational principle, we acknowledge that human rights predate, they're outside of government. And government, our Constitution specifically, limits our government's ability to infringe on those rights. And we strongly encourage other countries to do the same thing, to quit violating those rights of their citizens. Now, historically in the United States, it is clear that we do not live up to those values on a regular basis. It is very clear that historically we have fallen short. We've fallen short with American Indians, with obviously with the black population that we imported from Africa and enslaved for 400 years. I mean, Jesus Christ. Well, we enslaved them for 200 and something, 200 and change, and then just simply oppressed them with Jim Crow laws for another 200 or so years. Just, the run of the mill, not quite 200, 140 years. Yeah, so, just the general run of the mill, white supremacy and oppression thing. We've done it with minority religious communities, minority immigrant communities, repeatedly with minority immigrant communities from Italians. Have we ever done it with the French? I'm not sure if there was ever like a French period where we hated the French, like truly hated the French, like we did the Poles or the Germans or Czechs. There was the Eastern European waves, the Irish waves, the Italian waves, especially the Sicilians. Wave after wave after wave of immigrants that we were supposed to hate this month that, over the course of time in American history. The flavor of the month right now is, of course, Latin Americans, Hispanic Americans. Those are the ones that we're supposed to hate right now because they're invading our border. They're not invading our border. They're not bringing diseases. They're not, invading or infesting. What was the words that they? Oh, whatever. It's just disgusting. The fucking white replacement. We'll talk about that another day too. It's just the worst, disgusting racist tropes. Anyway. It's clear over the history of our country that we have not lived up to those ideas. We've restricted freedoms of people, targeted restrictions of freedoms of people, and just broad general restrictions of freedoms of people, from voting rights to just simple being free to live and have bodily determination of your own body. From the early days in the 1600s to even today, last 2 weeks ago, deciding that, some people just don't have bodily autonomy anymore. You have to ask your husband or your dad or your brother or your uncle or your pastor or your priest or your boss, if you're gonna be able to have birth control. Double check with your manager to make sure that it's covered by your insurance. But see, these freedoms, they're not doled out by the government. These are basic human rights that we possess. And we possess them so we can fight for them and demand that other people recognize them, especially if they're being unevenly enforced. If they're not being equally enforced by the laws, as is required by the 13th. Was the 13th Amendment? That was the Citizenship Amendment. I think the 14th Amendment was the Equal Protection Amendment, if I recall. Doing all this from memory, so sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but usually I'm close. Anyway, the right to vote. That's another great example. Like over the history of our country, the right to vote has been infringed, and it's continuing to be infringed today in various jurisdictions and municipalities and statewide jurisdictions. With this patchwork of different laws from here and there. In some states, it's more open and you can more easily and more freely vote in some states, while in other states, they put up roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. Once you finally get through all the roadblocks, it's really easy to go cast your ballot, but you've got to run a gauntlet to get there. One of the most common ways today to curtail the voting experience is to put polling locations in remote parts of counties or in hard-to-get-to places, or simply not having very many polling places, so that there's big long lines of people to vote, and it makes it difficult to stand in line for. It makes it difficult to vote because you have to stand in line for hours and hours on end. Or like in the case of the state of Texas, where you do it on weird days and weird months in the middle of the year, like the primary election that's on the 24th, but the school board election was earlier this month on, I think, a Saturday, which they never have elections on Saturday. That wasn't a school board election, it was a school bond election on a Saturday. And then earlier there was the primary election that was on a Tuesday in, I believe, early March or late March, or was it mid-April? Might have been April. Yeah, it was in April. I had the school board election was at the beginning of on May 15th, right around May 15th, Mother's Day weekend. Anyway, one of the ways that that the strategies to curtail being able to utilize your voting right is just simply make it hard to know when the vote is, make it hard to get to the polling places, put the polling places in weird locations. But those are our rights, and we have a right to fight for. Not only do we have a right to vote, we have a right to fight for our right to vote. And when they curtail that right, it's not. It's literally a violation of our human rights, because human rights and civil rights are one and the same. But the federal government, the state government, doesn't give us the right to vote. They restrict, like that. Like that is what the laws do. They restrict our rights. We hand those rights over. They don't give them to us. We give them to the state. So they pass laws to restrict what we are able to do, and ultimately that results in needing to have an amendment to prevent states from restricting those rights. Several of the amendments after the first 10 amendments are specifically telling states that they can't continue to restrict the rights. Some of them are federal level amendments. And in fact, the First Amendment says Congress may pass no law. But later on in the first 10 amendments, like specifically 9 and 10, they talk about states and rights reserved to the states and rights reserved to the people, and rights enumerated in the U.S. Constitution and not prohibited to the states are then reserved to the states and then the people. You're blowing up chat, McTubus. I'm going to come back and Roe. Okay, we'll come back to the Roe story in a second. We'll get there in just a second. So, clearly, historically, the United States doesn't live up to this ideal that we lay out for ourselves. But it's also each subsequent generation's duty and role to continue to form a more perfect union. That's what we do. Every year we work harder, we continue to push the ball and continue to roll it so that we can continue to form a more perfect union. And that, when knowing that our rights are possessed by us and not handed to us by the government, is the first step, the first primary step, the first understanding of how you continue to defend your rights. Because you must, in order to defend your rights, you must assert that you even have them. If you don't assert that you have your rights, then it's a thing that we say that's endowed by our Creator. That term, endowed by your Creator, can be taken to mean by society. If the society creates us, the people, the United States people, that is we are our own creators to a large extent when you're talking about social norms and social structures. The American Indians didn't own property. They did not have the concept of property ownership the same way we have a concept of property ownership. So a lot of these human rights notions are also very Eurocentric and Americentric, but they're also universal to a large extent because a lot of the same principles have been adopted by culture generally worldwide. The Chinese don't have the same concepts as free speech and free press that we have. They have a concept of free speech and free press. Obviously, you've seen Hong Kong, we've seen Beijing, we've seen Tiananmen Square, we've seen all of the protests and them trying to raise their voice, being the nails that stick up, so to speak. But they don't have the same, like the infrastructure and social understanding around it isn't quite the same as, there's differences between societies is what I'm trying to say, but they still have the same like principle of being able to express themselves and be individuals and self-determination and all these things. But that doesn't negate the fact that they still have the rights. They have the right to self-expression. They have the right to self-determination. They have these rights, these basic human rights. Whether or not they get codified into civil rights, and whether or not they tolerate their government taking those rights from them, that is largely on them. Nobody can force them to assert their rights. That's one of the privileges that we have uh, uh, by right of the geography of where we were born and the status of our parents. Uh, we have this concept that we have these rights and they're possessed by us. But it's a very dangerous position to be in when we start assuming that these rights that we have were doled out by some benevolent government up on a hill. They never gave us these rights. The government never gave us these rights. And over time, they've tried to pick off the rights and restrict these rights. We can't ever let them pick off the rights and restrict the rights. Our rights are ours. We possess them. They are ours. We agree by social contract to limit our own rights. Like I can't just spread my house out down my entire street and tear down my neighbor's houses. They own their property. They have a right to be secure in their property. I can't just tear their houses down. I can't just go over to their house and declare that I'm not Christopher Columbus. I can't just go onto a property that has people on it and declare that it's mine. um, By the way, that is a great way to celebrate Columbus Day. Do that. Go to your neighbor's house and just eat all their food, and then take one of their daughters and bring them home and show it off to your king. I don't want to lose my train of thought. Not too late. I've lost my train of thought. No, but we have our rights. We have a right to fight for our rights. They were never given to us by the government. We, by social contract, allocate rights to the government. We give the government a contract and say, these are the things that you can do. And the things that they can do are pretty fairly well outlined in the Constitution. There's an Article 1, an Article 2, an Article 3, Article 4, Article 5. I believe there's a sixth article, which is the ratification article. And then there's a whole bunch of amendments that specifically say what the government limits what the government can do to us, uh, which creates some issues. But also, there's another clause in there, this elastic clause that allows Congress to do things that they need to do in order to continue making the country work. But by social contract, we agree to limit our rights. I can't just lie willy nilly and expect to willy nilly. That's a phrase you don't hear every day, and expect to be accepted and ingratiated into social circles. I can't just. I mean, maybe I become president if I just constantly lie about everything, but that's another thing. I can't just I don't have the freedom to just kick dogs. We have our own personal liberties that we choose to limit. We're not we're not completely free individuals unless we live by ourselves on a desert island. Um, but these rights that we have, we limit them voluntarily, but they were never given to us. They weren't given to us by our neighbors. They weren't given to us by anybody else. We have the same rights as our neighbors. We're all, we're equal brothers and sisters, all under a big blue sky and a big smiling spaghetti monster or whatever the hell you want to call up in the sky, or mountaintops, or I don't know, wherever your sovereign Lord and Savior lives. But we all have the same rights, and we all recognize each other as having the same rights. How we manifest that in civil law and civic code, that's the question that becomes a little bit tricky. But how we protect our rights is never at question, because you don't protect your rights by assuming they've been given to you by somebody else. You protect your rights by assuming first that they're yours. Your right to do things, to freely practice your religion, to speak, to assemble, to a free press, to redress your government for grievances, to bear arms, to be secure in your person, to not have troops quartered at your house in times of outside of times of war, to to not incriminate yourself, to a jury trial, to all the things that that are enumerated in the Constitution, but also all the rights that aren't enumerated in the Constitution. The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the right to privacy, the right to to freely travel between the states, the right to freely travel within the states, the rights to own and possess property, the rights to um, uh, uh, oh, there's a whole list of them, and I just went completely blank. Like I said, I'm doing all this from memory, so sometimes the memory fails. I don't know why the memory fails, but there you go. That is how you protect your rights. First, you protect your rights by assuming that you own them, that they're yours. Not that they're somebody else's, not that they were given to you by anybody else, that they're yours, and you are endowed with those rights by your creator. Whether your creator was the Big Bang, whether it was just a bunch of cosmic dust that came together and made you happen, whether it was your Lord and Savior, whether it was a cute fluffy bunny, whether it was a spaghetti monster, whether it was whatever your creator is that endowed you with your rights, they are yours. And you have to fight for your rights. Rhetorically, pins and votes have protected rights more often in the United States than guns. That's another thing to remember going forward. When people say you need to fight for your right to party, they mean generally they're supposed to mean. I mean, we know that some of them didn't. When I say fight for your rights, I mean educate yourself, go out and vote, make your voice heard. Pens and ballots are 100% more effective at protecting your rights than guns and bullets. So do that. Fight for your right. Be educated. Pick politicians and representatives that will protect those rights, not representatives that will sell you out to, the highest bidder, as we've seen frequently in the near recent past. But that is, ladies and gentlemen, how we fight to protect our rights. And I'm going to now switch the screen over. We're going to open the forum. I saw some really juicy comments. I'm going to switch the screen and open the forum to that one. Bam, there it is. Oh, beautiful. And I'm going to scroll up here. I'm going to scroll up to where Moose Gal's in the house. Cheers, Moose Gal. I saw Moose Gal. Where's Moose Gal? I see Moose Gal. There she is. Yes, Moose Gal. We'll come back to that. I'm going to roll my way up to that one. Because there's a lot of nonsense about Roe. No one, what is that? No one over 60 cares about. Okay, that's good. That's where we left off. Excellent. So you can find us on Twitter. Blah 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 blah. Reddit died 5 years. Okay, so that's exactly why I don't do much on Reddit anyway. The Constitution essentially says you can't touch my rights, but you can't touch my rights, but you better not touch it. That's actually that's a very good description, a very good characterization of what it says. It says you, the federal government, you can do this. This is your job, Congress. This is your job, President. This is your job, Judiciary. And oh yeah, you better not touch these things. These are my no-no zones. That's very much what the Constitution says. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say you can now vote. It says states cannot pass laws preventing or bridging the right to vote based on gender, based on race, it says you cannot prohibit this right from being exercised. This right already exists for the people. You've been prohibiting it, you've been prohibiting it, you've been prohibiting it, and now you can no longer prohibit it anymore. That's literally what the Constitution says. And that is a very important distinction between saying that and, well, now these people can vote. It doesn't say that. It never says that. It says you can no longer prohibit them from exercising the right that they already have. You've been prohibiting them all these years. You need to stop doing that. And that's literally what the Constitution says. And then in the 9th and 10th Amendments, it says any of these rights and duties that we've allocated to the federal government and not prohibited to the states, then they get reserved to the people. That's it. That's the structure and context of our government. That's our governing structure. That's how our country has always worked. We don't assume that the federal government is some sovereign handing down candy from on high. We assume that it exists by right uh, of our authority. We authorize the federal government to exist. And it only exists because we authorize it to exist. And then every 2 years, we sign a new contract saying, either y'all go back or y'all need to come home because we need to swap out some personnel. There's also a mechanism in the Constitution for establishment of a constitutional convention to either rewrite the Constitution or just create new amendments, which is literally what would it be like it's functionally at least what would be considered an opt-out clause or a renewal clause. Like everybody could get together and like write a new document if that's what they wanted to do. Have to have 2/3 of the states sign off on a convention to do something like that. But there are mechanisms for it. McTubis, I'm sure we agree on plenty of things political. We the people make a list of what the government is allowed to do. There you go. Yeah, we're gonna keep rolling through this. 10th Amendment is not explicitly enumerated. Falls back. That's 100%. And I went back and forth with this ding dong on TikTok. And what's really, really, really funny is today he literally said in words the exact same thing I've been trying to get him to understand for the last 2 days. That rights exist outside of the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't grant us rights. Our rights existed before the Constitution. Our rights exist after the Constitution. Our rights, the rights of people in France, the rights of people in England, the rights of people in Ghana, the rights of people in India, the rights of people in Ukraine, the rights of people in Russia, the rights of people in Australia. All of these all of these human rights and civil rights for all of these people exist, even though they're not governed by the U.S. Constitution. And he actually said the words with his own mouth, these rights exist outside of the Constitution. I'm like, yeah, duh, I've fucking been telling you this. Anyway, that was a fun little exercise. And it is literally, I had no idea what I was going to do for the show today until I saw this video and got in this little back and forth with this ding dong. And, well, now I have a whole topic for a show. And it was great. It was a fun show. Not unalienable, it's unalienable. That's the same damn word. Unalienable and unalienable are the same thing. You can't put a lien on your rights. No, it means you can't. Yeah, I mean, you can't put a lien on your rights. You can't. They can't be alienated from your person. They are inseparable. They are unalienable. You can't. Your rights cannot be separated from you. You are a human with human rights, and because you're a human with human rights, you can't not have those rights unless you are not human. And for a significant part of the history of the United States, we kind of thought, some people were like subhuman. That we fought a whole war over it. The bad guys lost. It was awesome. They have whole classes about it. They've written entire books, built like museums full of information about this stuff. To be fair, the right doesn't dispute that. All we ask is that they no, actually, to be completely open and honest about it, the right are the ones that were separating these people from and denying the rights to due process and denying basic human rights to these people. It's the right that is saying these people shouldn't get baby formula. It's the right who is saying a whole lot of shitty things. And the right who's talking about, we don't want these people here. Not that they should be here legally, that they don't even want them here because, they're going to vote the wrong way or whatever other stupid nonsense. That's what the whole fucking replacement theory shit is. And that is not anybody other than the right. So I would argue that point. Not Republican or Democrat, that doesn't matter. That didn't happen. Roe v. hasn't been overturned. Yes, that's true. Roe versus Wade has not been overturned. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not freaking out about the Roe versus Wade. Uh, and by the way, hello, Muscow. Thank you for showing up at the party. One of the reasons I'm not freaking out about the draft decision being leaked about Roe v. Wade is it's just a draft decision, and there's still plenty of. We don't know what it's going. There's a reason it was leaked. It may. There's still plenty of time. I don't like this. I don't like to freak out over speculation, and I'm not going to freak out over this. But women had the rights to abortions before laws were passed preventing them from having them. It had to go to court because, what was it? Casey versus Roe. It was no, that was Casey. Roe v. State of Texas. That's what it was. It had to go to court because a woman wanted to reassert her. Women had the right, or blacks and whites had rights to marry before they were taken away. There's all kinds of rights that existed prior to laws limiting these rights. And women had the right to abortion before laws were passed preventing abortion from happening. And then Roe v. Wade, and that overturned it and said, no, actually, you have a right to privacy. You have a right to do with your body what you're going to do with your body. You have a right to make decisions on contraception. I mean, there was a court case about contraception, about being able to use contraception. There's sodomy laws on the books that were overturned due to privacy protection, literally saying you could not have sex for purposes other than procreation. The Miscegenation Laws. There were, we all know about gay marriage, gay and lesbian marriage, I guess, homosexual unions, same-sex marriage. There's all kinds of laws that were passed that, or written in such a way that excluded people from participating in the same liberties as everybody else. There's scads of them, and they were overturned. They've been overturned progressively over time. They've been overturned. Unless, and the philosophical statement with regards to human rights are they are unalienable, it cannot be separated from people unless there's proper justification and due process. Those are two qualifications. So you can be restricted from free movement and travel if you've committed a crime. You can lose your right to vote if you're a felon. You can lose your right to possess a handgun if you're a felon. So due process and justification, that's due process and justification all in one. You become a felon. Now, if they're using those felonies, incarceration and felony raps to specifically to limit their rights, that then would be a violation of rights. So if you, like in Russia, if you're creating a felony for people to be arrested for in order to prevent them from running for office in opposition, then that is literally a violation of their rights to run for office and have their voice in government and speak in government. And the people in Russia don't like this, but there's not a whole lot the people in Russia can do about it until and unless the government gets changed in Russia. They do that here in the United States, and there's a large movement to decriminalize or to allow felons to vote because there's a large movement predicated on the notion that a specific demographic of population is over-policed in order to create felons and then disenfranchise them from the vote. And it's not untrue, but it's not entirely true. There's a lot of discussion about it still. And they did it in Florida, but they put stipulations on it in Florida where you can felons can vote, but you have to pay your fees and fines and all that stuff. So basically, it's creating this debtors disenfranchisement of former felons who normally would be able to vote if they had paid their, it's a complicated thing. We'll come back. Well, I'm sure we will come back to that. It just means we can't spend federal dollars on it. It falls back to the states. Nothing changes. That's not true. If it falls back to the states, there are 26 states that will automatically ban abortion. Automatically. If Roe gets overturned, 26 states, including Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Louisiana. There's 26 states. I can't remember all of them, but they will immediately have bans. Michigan is one of them. Michigan has a ban on the books still. The DA in Michigan said they won't enforce it. So if Roe gets overturned this summer, things will definitely change. Things will definitely change. 26 states. And in some of those states, they're talking about laws that are that will prevent contraception, that will prevent allowing women to leave the state if they're pregnant and there's a suspicion that they'll get an abortion in another state, preventing pregnant women from flying out of the country to other countries that allow abortion. There's a whole lot of crazy shit that's being talked about. Not every state will pull it off because I expect there will be a huge backlash. A huge backlash. But we'll see. That's basically where we're at. We'll see. Not a lot has changed yet, but if what happens in June, if what they're saying will happen in June happens and it gets overturned, a whole lot will change on day one. And then the rhetoric is going to change significantly. And mind you, this has nothing to do with birth control and everything to do with demographic changes that are scaring the hell out of another specific cohort of the population. I need to refresh my cocktail. Let's scroll. Because I see chat lighting up over there. I see John Jacobs and McTubis and who's that? Who is that? Moose Gal. Y'all are going at it. I want to get down there and see what's up. And Rose on Film and Vinegar story was a lie. Whether her story was a lie is irrelevant. Whether she was raped by 19 people or 0 people is irrelevant to whether or not she has a right to abort the child. It used to be, everybody agreed, rare, legal, and what was it? Rare, legal, and affordable. That was the mantra in the 90s that they wanted it to be, or legal, rare, and affordable. I think was the 3. Legal, and rare were definitely 2 of them. I don't remember what the 3rd one was, but that used to be the mantra. Like, we didn't want it to happen. We didn't want abortion to happen, and it used to be that at least Republicans would be grudgingly acknowledge, well, in the case of rape and incest, it's fine, or restricts the life of the woman, or threatens the life of the mom. Now they're at least being honest and saying, you know what, fuck it, nobody gets to have an abortion ever, ever, ever. If you're a victim of incest, you're going to have that baby. Sucks to be you. You're a victim of rape, you're going to have that baby. Your baby's a blessing, even if it's a rapist baby. At least they're being honest now, and that's good. Let them show their true colors. But it used to be that wasn't even part of it. And, straight up, it doesn't matter. It 100% doesn't matter. Her bodily autonomy is hers. And, it's not a decision that is entered into lightly. And with birth control, contraceptions, vasectomies, gentlemen, and proper sex education, they would be rare. You would, if kids know how babies are made, and the proper mechanics that are used to make them, and how to prevent them. Yeah, abstinence prevents them, but you know what else prevents them? Rubbers, also birth control pills, also IUDs, also. There's a whole lot of stuff that prevents babies from being born, from being conceived, from happening. And if everything gets through the if a lucky guy gets through the defenses and manages to inseminate an egg, and it still should be the woman's decision as to whether or not she wants to carry the baby forward. She should not. The guy doesn't have to make that decision. The guy doesn't have to carry the baby to term. The guy doesn't have to quit college and take care of the kid. The guy doesn't have to quit high school and take care of the kid. The guy doesn't have to do anything. He's done. He can go off and make more babies. Should definitely. This isn't. This isn't even a fucking discussion. On to more stuff. States' rights supersede federal rights. That's not entirely true. States' rights do not supersede federal rights. States' do not have a right to print money. Federal government has a right to have money. Rights have been allocated to the feds, and those supersede state rights. States' rights do not supersede human rights. States' rights do not supersede civil rights. We fought a war over that, and the states lost that war. They do not get to decide who's people. They do not get to decide who gets to. States do not get to nullify federal laws. States do not get to do that. We literally fought a war over nullification, states' rights, nullification, etc. And that's been decided. That's been decided. States' rights do not supersede federal rights. They are. What is it? They're co-equal, but they cover different spheres of influence. States can't decide states can't just decide to negotiate with a foreign power. That does not supersede states' rights, or rather, the federal government has the right to negotiate with foreign powers. States can't just decide to do that. They don't. That's not a true blanket statement. It's a conditionally true statement. It depends. It depends. That's what I would say about that. The Second Amendment is not the most important. I would argue that the Second Amendment is actually anathema to the First Amendment and puts a whole lot of other things in. I wouldn't recommend repealing the Second Amendment. I would recommend amending the Second Amendment. I saw it today. I like the idea of amending the Second Amendment, adding 5 words. Justice John Paul Stevens suggested this back in 2014, I believe, adding to the end of it, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed while participating in militia. While participating in militia. 5 words. That's it. So there you go. Moose Gal's in the house with the howdy. Cheers, Moose Gal. Second Amendment isn't the most important. No. And I agree with that. Ideas, words, a truly free press, freedom of speech, freedom of. Never in the history of the United States of America has the Second Amendment been used to protect the freedoms of the people from the government by the people. Many, 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 many times in the history of the United States has the Second Amendment been used to oppress people in the name of the government of the United States. Um, in fact, most of the time, the Second Amendment has been used. It's never been used to defend against. In fact, there's an entire country that is fighting off the Russian army, and they don't have a Second Amendment. So a Second Amendment is not needing a Second Amendment to protect our right to bear arms is untrue. There are people who bear arms without a Second Amendment, and I mean it's a fact. So that is an untrue statement, and never in the history of the country has the Second Amendment been used to defend the rights of people in the United States. So there you go. An American woman to be taken away this summer. Possibly, we don't know yet. We don't know for sure. Possibly, there is cause for alarm, but there is an election in November, and there's a way to regain those rights come June or January next year, assuming the losers don't attempt another coup. Moose is not going to be a slave. Good Lord. Who's this? J. Sarge Scratch is in the house. Cheers, J. Sarge. J. Sarge, by writ of getting into chat, has gotten himself on the wheel of doom and fortune next week for the entry to win a sample flight of our whiskey. Congratulations, J. Sarge. So we got J. Sarge, Moose Gal, John Jacobs, Walter Kurt, Tuna Emperor, McTubis, and others. I'll scroll it. Debbie did 9/11. That is a new name. I haven't seen that. Cheers, Debbie. You're also on the board for next week. Now, again, you must be present to win the board next week. 2 weeks from now, June 1st. And I'll go back over the rules in just a second. But we're gonna scroll. We're gonna keep scrolling through chat real quick because I am woefully behind. Strongly advised. Nope. Where are we at? Keep rolling. SoCal. Tuna. Tuna's in SoCal. Congratulations, Tuna. What rights are being taken away? McTubis, you're not that dense. Really? You were just talking about. No, anyway. You know better than that. Let's see here. And again, we don't know for sure if the draft opinion is actually going to be the final word. We don't know. We don't know for sure how the votes are going to fall. There's a whole lot of speculation that it could end up being 5-4 to preserve, not 5-4 to overthrow. So we'll see. We don't know for sure. There's a whole lot of speculation. But either way, the solution to the problem is in November. We all know how well that works. There's a whole list of people using the Second Amendment to try and fight against the feds or even against local law enforcement using their Second Amendment rights. And you could ask them about it, but most of them are dead because it does not work out very well. Never in the history of the United States has a group of people use their Second Amendment rights to fight against and overthrow a tyrannical government. Never. It's been the other way around, where they've used their Second Amendment rights, their right to bear arms, freely and openly, to further oppress a people who are oppressed. And that's the history of our country. And I want to qualify that. I don't know if it's never, but ultimately the people who rise up in rebellion against the United States, they generally lose, and the rebellion gets put down, quashed, or dispersed, and it goes back to the status quo, at least for a period of time, until the cooler heads prevail and the ballot boxes start to churn. And when the ballot boxes start to churn, that's when things actually change. Pins and ballots over guns and bullets. 99% of the time. And also, if you have money, that helps. Money helps tremendously. Um, let's see here. American one. Next, the Republicans will, and actually, Muscow, you are fairly right about that because they've already started talking about the next steps in their grand plan to require white women to have more babies. Um, important amendment in freedom of speech. Y'all are just going at it. That's awesome. For launder federal taxpayer. Jesus Christ. Cuckoo. Where are we down? Are we down to the end? No, we're not down to the end. I'm just we are lagging on the screen there. Come on, thank you. Where was I? I lost it. It just jumped way down to the end. Those damn squids. Respectfully agree to disagree. Allocation of federal tax dollars from the government. By the way, we don't launder federal money through Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood doesn't get any, or they get very little federal money. Nice try, though. Civil View, forgotten Tubus, USA. Dems are pushing for abortion up to the point of birth, but has not been arguing that. I'm arguing the laundering. Okay, first, they're not laundering money through Planned Parenthood. And second, nobody wants abortion up to birth. Like, it doesn't happen. It very rarely happens. It's a very rare occasion for that to happen. And usually it's a very significant event, like their death of the mother involved and stuff like that. It's practically a non-event. It's like saying, we shouldn't broadcast radio waves into space because aliens might come at us. Like, aliens aren't going to fucking come at us. You're arguing a thing that's not happening. So, anyway, Planned Parenthood is the Dem Party. That is also untrue. Planned Parenthood is not the Democratic Party's largest donor. It's supposed to be George Soros, right? George Soros is the spooky masked man behind the shadows. Actually, yeah, Muskow's nailed it. She is. There are many Republicans who are now saying that life begins at fertilization. So if there are birth control that prevents the implantation of a fertilized egg, that would be considered murder because life begins at fertilization. Because they keep moving the. Once it's paid, you better pray. Let's see. They weren't fighting with each other. That is, that's not untrue. A house divided cannot stand, that sort of thing. But something, culture wars, something, when you have no ideas, that's all you lean on. So there you go. And there's only one party that actually has a platform. They're not both the same. They are not both the same. Oh, scroll. All right. I need to write names down real quick. Make my list and double check it. So we got J. Sarge, John Jacobs, and McTubis. John Jacobs, McTubis, Walter Kurt, Muscow. Take this quick intermission to write down names as I see them roll across. Okay, we're going to scroll some more. May heaven continue to bless our great tuna empire. Yes, that's a great plan. Vote for Tuna Party. Tuna Party actually sounds like a good time. I imagine there being like a tuna bar, different types of tuna, albacore, maybe some sushi, tuna sushi. I'm sure that's a thing. Yellowfin, bluefin. I'm pretty sure those are types of tuna. Uh, that'd be a fun party. Um, Matters who your Republican senators are federally and locally, and also school board and city council members too. Yes, all the way up to dog catcher. It matters. All of that stuff matters. I agree with you, Moose Gal. All of that stuff matters. Plenty of evidence again for that. Mail-in ballots, electronic. Oh, Jesus Christ. There is no evidence of ballot tampering or election rigging. Zero evidence of any of that. That is nonsense. None. No evidence. Um, Executive orders, that's bullshit. We were not energy independent. We were never energy independent in the history of our country. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. Let me say it one more time. That is bullshit. Boats leak more than pipelines. Okay, that's if you say so. Evidence suggests otherwise. We were exporting gas. We were exporting natural gas, but we were importing oil. We were not energy independent. That is false. 100% false. We were never exporting more oil or more gas than we were importing in oil. Never. Never, 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 never. Never happened. That's bullshit. What about the child's rights? What about the child's rights? Children don't. First of all, a fetus isn't a child. A fertilized egg isn't a child. And so there you go. The child's rights, the fetus's rights, the unimplanted egg's rights do not supersede the rights of a living human, breathing, walking around, and interacting with the world. But there you go. It wasn't reserved before. Da, 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 da. 99% of, yes, the vast majority of abortions are elective, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with an elective abortion. The vast majority are not rape or incest, and the vast majority are not in the 9th month or the 8th month or the 7th month. The vast majority are between the 3rd and 5th month when women find out that they're actually pregnant. So, if you want to talk about elective abortions, and only the ones that are a significant portion of the actual population, you can dispel with the 9-month up to birth nonsense, just as much as you want to dispel with the incest and rape. And elective abortions are fine. What the fuck is wrong with an elective abortion? Let it. I mean, there's most of the argument. Most of the argument for restricting abortions falls solely in line with replacement theory nonsense. And that's how it's been for the last 10 years. And there is almost zero daylight between the argument of restricting abortion and the argument of forcing white women to have more babies. There's almost zero daylight. And there are ways to reduce the occurrence of abortions without restricting women's bodily autonomy. There are significant ways, very impactful ways, things that were done for 20 solid years up until the last 10 years when this new culture war kicked into effect because one party doesn't have any real ideas. And that's reality. That's literally the history of this discussion and argument. Where's the shortage here? Actually, Debbie, no, babies don't have any bodily autonomy. They're literally inside of another person. They don't have freedom to move. They don't have freedom to speak. They don't have freedom to do anything. They're literally connected to another person, and if you disconnect them from that person, they die. Up until a certain point, usually sometime late in the second trimester. Uh, I mean, they're literally living because of somebody else. I mean, literally, that's the biology of the thing. Oh, well, there's a shortage here. What shortage here? There's no shortage of oil and gas here. Um, well, the father wants to take care of the child. That is a very good question, Tuna. That is a question that I've never actually seen raised. If the father wants to have the kid, but the mother doesn't want to have the kid, who who gets to make that choice? And it probably ends up being the mother's decision ultimately because she can't. She's the one. I mean, it's her body. Ultimately, I don't know the answer to that question. That's a very good question. That is a strong, debatable point, and a good philosophical question to discuss. But it's a question that generally gets lost in the discussion because it's all about the woman's bodily autonomy, the woman's ability to choose, the woman because it's her life that ultimately gets impacted. The guy always has the opportunity to opt out. The guy from conception to birth has the opportunity to opt out, and then after birth, the guy still has the opportunity to opt out. She does not get the opportunity to opt out at any point uh, in the process. So that's a good question, and it's a good discussable point because if you have a couple and he's very excited, very ready to be. He's like, I've wanted a baby all my life, and she's like, I don't want a baby. We were taking precautions to prevent this from happening, and it happened, and I don't want this to happen, and I need to. Uh, I don't want to go through with this. Or he wants a baby, and she's like, no, there's conditions and situations in my family history that I did not want to pass this down to a kid. I want, for whatever reason, she doesn't want to have a kid, and assuming that she wasn't just hoping that she didn't get pregnant. Whatever mental illness or physical ailments or whatever it is, like maybe I'm just not ready to be a mom. I don't want to be a mom. I don't want to do it yet. This was not something we were shooting for. We were trying to prevent it from happening to begin with, and whatever. I think ultimately, probably, it comes down to her decision. But that's the guy gets disappointed and he goes and knocks up some other chick. I mean, that should probably be a discussion to be had before impregnating a woman, being like, I really want to have a baby. And she's like, well, I really don't want to have a baby. And that should probably be a deal breaker in the relationship. And you should probably go find uh, greener pastures. I mean, what gives him the right to impregnate her? I mean, but that's a very good debatable question. It's a very good debatable question. It's a very good discussion to have. Because I thought about that too. Like, what right do I have as a father of the child? Do I have any rights at all? Because men, I mean, true talk, men oftentimes in the relationship get screwed. Like, we don't want to have the baby. Like, I don't want to be a father. I'm taking precautions. I don't want to be a father. I'm trying to avoid that from happening. She gets pregnant. I'm like, I didn't want to be a father. I don't want to pay child support. I don't want to have anything to do with this. I'm out. I opt out. I take my opt out clause. I'm out. She's like, well, no, I'm going to bring it to term, and you're going to have to pay child support. That, I mean, now the guy's like roped in. I mean, I'm not. I've never been in the situation. I've never studied the situation. I don't know how that works. Whether you can sue for child. And he's like, I don't want to be involved with this kid's life. If the courts would be like, too bad, child support, 18 years, she got your little hook, bitch. I don't know how that works. I truly don't know. But I would think that like the father should have some rights, some level of choice in the matter, but part of me also drops back to the notion that like maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know because ultimately it comes down to her pushing the watermelon through uh, the water hose, not him. And up to the day of birth, he could be like, "Yeah, I'm in, 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 I'm in," and then baby comes out, and he's like, "Nope, I'm out." Then what the fuck is she supposed to do, right? Um, so I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't even know how to begin to address that because there's a whole lot of other stuff that goes into it. Like my default would be it's on her. She gets to decide. Uh, and it's unfortunate for the guy, but then in all the other in the vast universe of double standards, guys get the advantage on almost everything anyway. So fuck it, who cares? The guy just goes and knocks up some other chick. That's how it works. The, I mean, yeah, and then it comes in with the child support question and all the other stuff. I don't know. Did I write down Debbie did 9/11? Debbie, I'm sorry, I didn't write your name down. You're in for the drawing. Did 9/11. All right, you're in. You're in. Good, good, good. And we'll go over those rules real quick. And the guy shouldn't be penalized for running off and leaving the family. You see, that's just the thing. If the guy's like, yeah, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in, and then he bails, like now she's stuck with a kid because the plan was to have a kid with him. Uh, if the guy doesn't have a choice in the matter, should the guy be obligated to pay child support if he is opposed to the idea of the child coming into the world? He's like, I don't want to be a father. Should he be forced to pay child support? If he does want a child, if he does want a child, he could always go knock up. I guess this is one of those things where we could like build the graph out. Like she wants it, she doesn't want it. He wants it, he doesn't want it. If they both want the baby, everything's fine. If he wants the baby and she doesn't want the baby, then he's disappointed. She aborts the baby. If she doesn't want it and he doesn't want it, great, abortion. Everybody's happy. If he doesn't want it and she does want it, then it's on her, not him. That's probably like how the grid would work. But see, even in that like little matrix, like if she wants it and he doesn't, then uh, she has the baby and he opts out. He fucks off and goes away. He's done. She's a single mom. She has the baby. If she doesn't want the baby and he does, then the baby, can he get a restraining order, an injunction to force her to carry the baby? I mean, that doesn't seem right that he would have to that he would force her to carry the baby to term any more than it would be right to force somebody to give you their kidney, right? I mean, you're forcing somebody to go through a medical procedure, and then even then, after the fact, he can opt out and be done. He can give up custody and walk away. Now he's forced her to go through the process of childbirth and having a baby and having to raise a kid on her own when she didn't want the kid to begin with. She could put it up for adoption, but that doesn't unring the bell of having the baby. I think he's just disappointed and he goes and knocks up somebody else who has the same values as him, who wants to raise a kid and have a kid. I think that's probably how that goes. I think. See, here's the thing, Moose Cow. The Democratic Party can't do anything about it now. They don't have a majority in the Senate. They can't do anything about it now. Manchin is. They tried. In fact, they put a bill up, and Manchin voted with literally the only Democrat to vote with all of the Republicans. So they can't. So nothing's going to be done about it until November. November is when you make that difference happen. If you want that difference to be happened. Want that difference to be happened? If you want that difference to happen, there it is. It is 11:45, kids. We got to get through chat. It's coming. Trust me on what's coming. I don't know what that is. What's coming? And that's what she said. What is a militia? That's a good question. What is a militia? Uh, a militia, in the Second Amendment context, is a well-regulated fighting force that a well-regulated fighting force for the defense of the country, which would be also well organized and I would presume organized through proper chain of command so that they could be coordinated defense of the country, not a bunch of dipshit yokels playing army cosplay on the weekends and toting their deer rifles around the border, acting like they're doing anything. What is a militia? It is a locally organized defensive fighting force uh, that would be connected, presumably, to the chain of command of the military. But I'm sure there's a better definition, a better explanation of what a militia is than that. I don't know. I don't know the exact. I don't know the exact legal definition um, of. Oh, Muscle Shell's in. Good. Okay, I'll add that name to the list. Muscle Shell's in for the drawing, or for the wheel of doom and glory. Muscle. All right. So we got J. Sarge, John Jacob, McTubus, W. Kurt, Moose Gal, Debbie did 9/11, and Muscle Shell. Excellent. Um, there it is. We're not too far out yet. Was the nation USA's founding based on the second? No, it wasn't. Britannia most definitely has. I don't know what that's in relation to. Sorry. Um, Army of the Citizens. Our entire army is composed of citizens. Uh, some of them are immigrants, but they're all. I believe they're all. I think you have to be a citizen to join the military. I think that's part of the intake requirement. I think. I could be wrong. Well, you have a right to bear arms. I have bear forearms. The draft on Roe was leaked in the same way. The vax is dangerous. Pfizer vax is not dangerous. Jesus Christ. Voting machines are made in China. Voting no longer matters. Voting machines are not rigged. Jesus. Guns have never been used to preserve life, liberty, or happiness. Maybe happiness. Guns have never been used. In the history of the United States, you can find episode after episode after episode after episode of guns being used to further oppress an oppressed minority. Again and 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 again. And the handful of times that oppressed minority got their hands on guns and showed a display of force, they were either soundly and summarily put down or the laws were changed to prevent them from doing it. That's the history of the Second Amendment in the United States. You can say otherwise, but that doesn't change the reality of the history in the United States. Every single rebellion has been summarily put down and dispersed. Every single one of them. Every single time. And usually fairly brutal. And whenever a minority group or a disassociated or oppressed group, an actually oppressed group, a real oppressed group, not some dipshit dude on a fucking mountain somewhere who thinks his rights were being violated because somebody wrote something, or he can't feed his cattle on federal land without paying a fee or whatever dumb crap. Whenever an actual oppressed minority group has gotten uppity and raised their eyes up a little bit, a posse gets rounded up and their entire community gets burned to the fucking ground again and again and again and again and again. That's the history that we live in the United States. That's our baggage. That's our legacy. And never in the history of the United States have we ever overthrown an oppressive government with our guns. Never. Pins and ballots have always, always, always swayed the difference, except for one very notable occasion. And even then, pins and ballots ultimately carried the day because the laws were changed and the laws went into effect. And those laws would have gone into effect, arguably. Well, that's a whole other discussion. That's a whole other discussion for a whole other night. Things not from this world. They're already here. Steve Erpenbeck is in the chat. He gets his name added to the list. What is this list I keep talking about? Kids, we'll talk about it in just 1 second. Steve, you were here last week, if I recall, and it is good to see your name again. Erpenbeck, good to see you on chat, my friend. Cheers and salutations. Never understood how. Yeah, see, that is a tricky double standard that I think guys get the short end of the stick on that double standard. But to be fair, we benefit from most of the double standards. So, you know, I that's I mean that's like legit. That's legit, but it's also I mean I don't know if it's factually true. I don't know if the guy can forfeit his parental rights to avoid paying child support. You know, like you have to forfeit. I'm not familiar with family law. I'm just not familiar. Uh, I have a few friends who are involved in family law. I can make some phone calls tomorrow and find out if guys are if the man impregnates a woman and decides I'm not ready. I don't want to be a father. I don't want to have any part of this. I'm out. If they can opt out and not pay child support, just forsake their parental rights. That may change after Roe v. Wade gets overturned, if it does in fact get overturned, where the states will say the states could say she has to carry the child to term. You have to you cannot forfeit your parental rights. You have to at least pay child support. Of course, it could also raise questions like the woman doesn't want him in the woman doesn't want him in her life. She doesn't want his child support. And he'd be like, fine, don't ask for it. I won't pay it. But I think the state can escheat your paycheck. What's the word I'm looking for? Escheat. Anyway, they can take your money. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I do not. I like legit. I don't know the details of whether that's how that functions. But conceivably speaking, at least, the state could say, look, if you want to forsake your parental rights, you can forsake your parental rights, but you have to give up the baby for adoption. Otherwise, like y'all made a baby, y'all have to have a baby. You have to support the baby. You have to support the baby, or you can give up your parental rights. The baby goes to adoption. That may like states could legitimately say that. But I don't know. Like I said, I do not know. That would be pure speculation on my part. I don't know the answer to that. So the squids plan to destroy the family. Jesus. We're still going strong though, Muscle Shell. Don't worry about it. We're partying like it's 1979. Most human families, 67% divorce rate does not mean most human families are broken. 67% divorce rate. There is probably that's a dumb statistic, but by what I mean by dumb statistic is I mean there's not enough information in that statistic to inform us what it really means. Uh, a smarter statistic would be telling us what percent of that 67% is second, third, fourth marriages. Uh, if there's 5 people or 6 people in a room and 4 of them have been married twice, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marriages, but 2 of them failed. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the marriages failed. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but 4 of them failed. So that's over half right there of failed marriages because you have the man and the woman, the man and the woman. Those are 4 marriages that failed. The first marriages failed. So you have 1 marriage, 2 marriages, 3 marriages, 4, 5, 6, 7 marriages. 7 marriages, 4 of them failed, but those 4 people were responsible for the half of the marriages that failed. And by failed, they just ended. They ended early. That doesn't necessarily mean they failed. They could have been successful marriages for 4 years, 5 years, whatever. And then they just, they grew incompatible. People grow over time and they grow incompatible. Sometimes that happens. That doesn't necessarily mean it failed. We assume that a successful marriage lasts until you die, but a successful marriage can be 10 years, 10 good solid years. We had a good run, 10 years. We just don't have anything in common anymore. You have your business. I have my job. You have your scholarly work. You're doing nonprofit stuff, traveling the country, and I just want to stay home. We've grown apart. We're incompatible. So I disagree with the language of a failed marriage just because it ended. I mean, it could be a perfectly good marriage that just didn't work out. So yeah, and a minority of the population could be responsible for a majority of the divorces. Just because half of the marriages fail doesn't mean you have a 50-50 chance when you enter into a marriage. It could just mean that of the 4 people in the room, 2 of them have been married 3 times. That's it. And that's 60% of the marriages were ended in divorce. So it's like just 2 people are really bad at getting married. They get married on a whim, they have fun, and then it falls apart. I mean, that's all. Or there's also historical circumstance, like the marriage was doomed to end in the long run anyway because one of the participants in the marriage was gay and they couldn't get married to the person that they loved, so they got married with the person who was there. So historical circumstance is different from current context. So it's a statistic that's not informed. It's not an informative statistic. Let's put it that way. Dumb is probably a harsh word. It's not an informative statistic because there's a whole lot in there. The Supreme Court doesn't grant rights, Debbie. Of all the rights, based on saying the government can't do something, not that you can do a thing, and that was what the Roe v. Wade decision ultimately was. The court decision saying states can't ban abortion. That it didn't say women can have abortions. It said the states can't ban abortions from happening. Based on the rights of privacy and the rights of bodily autonomy and all, like this whole host of rights that are implicit and explicit in the Constitution. So the Supreme Court didn't grant a right. No, the government doesn't grant rights. That's actually what we talked about, or what I talked about in the beginning of the show. Our rights are inherently ours. Human rights belong to humans because we're humans. That's what human rights mean. Our government doesn't grant rights. It doesn't gift them out like the term I used, a drunken Santa Claus tossing out candy on the back of a float in a Thanksgiving Day parade. The government is not the source of our rights. Never has been, at least not in the United States of America. The philosophy of our governance and our people is that we own our rights. We grant rights to the government, and the government protects our rights based on the authority and powers that we give the government. And the government can pass laws codifying human rights into civil rights, like voting and speech and, bear arms and all the stuff that we consider to be human rights. The right to protect ourselves, the right to defend ourselves, the right to be secure in our person and our property and our privacy. So those are codified into law as rights of freedom of speech and against self-incrimination and redress of grievances and bear arms and no quartering of soldiers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's what Roe v. Wade said. Like literally, was that states can't ban abortion. That was it. That was the gist of it, based on other rights, including the rights to privacy, which also included contraception and sodomy and a whole bunch of other fun stuff that we get to do behind closed doors. So there you go. Disgusting. I don't even know what that is. In relation to Keystone, oh Jesus Christ! The executive order shutting down the Keystone did not affect gas prices, not one bit, anywhere, ever. Keystone was not ever built. Jesus Christ! That's it. That's a definitional question there, Tuna. Fetuses are not babies, and arguably fetuses are not alive. They may be living tissue, but so's my thigh. The muscle in my thigh is living human tissue. If you separate the fetus from the human body, it dies, unless you do things to keep it alive, incubate it. But it's a debatable point. It's a debatable point, but ultimately, well, I mean that's it. It's a debatable. It's a debatable point. It's an arguable point. If it's alive, we don't know. Biden killing the leases that weren't being used to actually pump anything. You can pop all the links you want, but I mean, there's no whatever. Do whatever you want. Scrolling, find it weird that humans can kill their unborn child, but the human itself cannot eat their own. Yes, cannibalism is frowned upon. Jonathan Swift wrote a very humorous satire piece about cooking babies. A simple solution, I think, is what it's called. Suicide is indeed illegal. In most places, suicide is illegal, but never has it been enforced because you can't arrest a person who committed suicide. Assisted suicide is certainly illegal, and the physician assisting can be arrested. I don't think that those laws were overturned, but Dr. Kevorkian absolutely did his part to try and make that happen. So there you go. So should every case be considered? If they just went to get rid of the baby, then would otherwise be born healthy? That's a good question. What about multiple abortions? What about it? What if a human is most inconsiderate when they want 5 abortions? What if they do? What if they want 5? What if they want 10? What if they want 22 abortions? What if they do? What if they eat 6 hamburgers? What if they? If you want to talk about the vast majority of, the statistically vast majority of abortions, the vast majority of abortions are one time, they're done once. A woman has one abortion in her lifetime. The vast majority of them is once. The vast majority of them, I believe, already have a kid. It's not their first time being pregnant. It's not their first child. They already have a child. If I remember the statistic properly, I believe it was something like 60% of women who have an abortion only ever have one, and something, oh God, it was something like 50, in the mid to high 50s of women who already have a child, so it's not even their first pregnancy. Um, but I can't remember those statistics right off the top. I'm in the neighborhood, but I can't remember exactly. But there's a portion of women who have multiple abortions. It's not an insignificant number if it's like 35% or something like that, but very few of them have more than two. Very few. An abortion, not knowing personally, it's not. I mean, it's not something you just go. I mean, it's not like you're going to return a library book. It's a heavy decision, partly because of the social weight being put on it by us, but partly because it's like, I mean, there's hormones involved in stuff. So it's not like, like I said, they're not just returning a library book. There's there's involvement. There's stuff. Um, um, she doesn't want the baby. Exactly. If she doesn't want a baby, why isn't she pregnant? And also, if he doesn't want the baby, why hasn't he gotten a vasectomy? And also, how do we know she wasn't protecting herself? Birth control isn't 100% effective. Um, and get rid of the egg layers. Jesus Christ. Oh, goodness. Yep. Um, Avoiding our responsibility. Well, nailing the Democratic Party platform is actually pretty easy to do because they're the only party with a platform. The Republican Party doesn't have one. So, yeah. There you go. Human man gets sacked with lots of human baby support. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if that's true, that's how it works. If you were random human was made father, I don't know if that's forced to take care of the baby that's not his. I mean, they have paternity tests. I mean, you can't just randomly assign a guy. She can claim he's the father on the birth certificate, but if I got a letter in the mail saying I'm a father, I'd have a paternity test like that to prove that I'm not. The question isn't the question is, does a guy who gives up his parental rights? I don't want to be the father. I don't want to participate in the raising of the child. I don't want to be a part of this kid's life. If he gives up his parental rights, does the state force him to pay child support? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the facts. I don't know and of course every state's going to be different. But my gut tells me that if you give up your parental rights, you do not owe child support in any way, shape, or form. Like the price to have parental rights is child support. Like those things go together. That's what my gut tells me. That's what the instinct tells me. But, um, conceivably, if the woman is forced to bring the child to term, then the guy should be forced to pay child support too. And the state could do that because, you know, bodily autonomy doesn't mean anything, and what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Made a baby. Oh, college debt is a whole nother subject, and it has nothing to do with waving your hand to get rid of a BS degree. Nice try, though. Lazy Nate's in the party. Lazy Nate has been added to chat. I'll write the name down. That matters because your name will go on the wheel of glory and doom in 2 weeks on June 1st when we give away a flight of samples of our whiskey. So what is this wheel of glory and doom that I keep talking about? Okay, so the way you get your name on the wheel is you get into chat, First, you're a subscriber. Second, you get into chat. Third, you share the video or the channel. We have 6 videos between now and June 1st. Share the video, or 7 if you count the one on June 1st. Share the video, share the channel. And then finally, if you have boozy bucks, you can trade in $10 for an entry on the wheel. So I'm rewarding participation over the last several weeks as well. And participation on Thursday for trivia, which is tomorrow night. So every time you do one of these things, you get into chat. Not every time you chat, but every time you get into chat. So Lazy Nate, you're in chat. Debbie did 9/11, you're in chat. Jay Sarge, you're in chat. All of y'all are in chat. Muscle Shell, you got in chat. Everybody you participated, you get in. You get your name on the board. Same thing goes for tomorrow night for trivia and Friday night for the live music. Same thing for next week. Everybody who gets into chat, your name gets on the board. You share the video. You got 7 chances if you count the show on the first, to get your name on the wheel. Share the video, share in the community tab here on YouTube, or if you do it on any of the other social medias, tag us in the post so that I know you did it, so that I can put your name on the wheel. And then finally, if you have boozy bucks, trade them in. $10 per entry. If you have $30, that's 3 entries. Then we spin the wheel, and one of those names on the wheel will get a flight of our double oak, straight whiskey, and special reserve in a nice little package delivered to your house. So there you go. June 1st is the giveaway. All of these will be detailed in a post, probably a short as well, and then you can do it. So there you go. And elected abortion is not always birth control. That's true. Elected abortion is not always birth control. There's scores of reasons that women can get an abortion, or for them to choose to get an abortion, and that's on them. That's their choice. That's their decision. They can do it up until we find out otherwise. It's who are we to decide? Who are we to say that your decision to, you want to travel the world and be a freelance journalist, and you don't see that lifestyle as conducive to having a baby, and the adoption system in the United States is so fucked up, you don't want to participate in that, so you choose to get an abortion anyway. Are we supposed to say that that's not a justifiable reason? That you may not agree with it, but okay. What the fuck are you going to do if she decides to have that? Are you going to help raise the kid? You random internet stranger, you're like, wow, she should have had that kid. Well, fuck you. Who are you to tell her that she should have had the kid? Where do you get off? Well, what is your, that's like saying that Angelina Jolie shouldn't have gotten a mastectomy because of her breast cancer. Who the fuck are you? You don't own her tits. Who the fuck are you to tell her that she should have or shouldn't have done whatever she was going to do? You got no business. Yeah, mind your own. Privacy. Yeah. So there. Who's next? I finally did an 11-hour live. Holy Christ, Moose Gal. That is a long live. I think the longest I've done is 9. And that was a bottling day at the distillery. $100,000 in child support. Holy Christ. That's a lot of money. Women have more rights than men. I don't know if women have more rights than men. I don't know if that's true either. But that's a good question. And I think equality is something that we strive for, but very rarely achieve. Quality, then knocked up by one guy, then pretended. I've also known women who got knocked up. I've known, dude, McTubis, I dated a chick that tried to, look, okay, rewind back to the mid-90s. I'm single, in between girlfriends. I go to pool hall, play pool all night, drink a little bit, go to Denny's, sit down in the back, light a cigar, enjoy myself with my cigar and my breakfast. I'm having a good time. The waitress there is banging hot. I hit on the waitress, end up going home with the waitress. Turns out this chick thought she was pregnant, and she was trying to get me to. She was trying to get me in the sack with her so that she could tell me the baby she thought she was pregnant with was mine. True story. I cannot remember how long we dated. Something like 6 months. I found out about this. I found out about her little scheme, about her little plan, about 4 months into us dating, and then finally asked her about it a month or so later. And so I guess it was like the end of 5 months, beginning of 6 months when we finally broke up. Yeah, she was cuckoo bird crazy, but she was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, she was a lot of fun. Definitely not long-term relationship material, but she was a lot of fun. She was a lot of fun to hang out with. So yeah, that was a bullet. I actually dodged a bullet very similar to this. But still, if the guy doesn't want to be, I mean, if he thinks he's the father and he's okay with it, if he doesn't think he's the father, it's paternity test. You can get out of that shit. You can't just. I mean, women can't just wave their hand and say, "Well, you're going to be the father now." Like, I mean, they can. They can wave their hand and say, "You're going to be the father now." But guys, there are resources available. That Maury Povich has an entire show. Like his entire TV franchise is based on paternity tests and whether or not he's the father. Is it Maury Povich? Yeah, that's the Maury Povich show. I mean, guys who get saddled with child support for kids that aren't theirs, they did that to themselves. You did that to yourself. I have zero sympathy for guys that go 18 years paying for some other guy's kid, especially if they're a father, if they want to be the father to that kid, and they participate and act like they're the father of that kid, and they participate in that kid's life. Zero sympathy, none, not a bit. And Tuna, I would dispute whether that happens all the time, but I would like to see data. I'd like to see data and information suggesting that actually happens all the time, because that sounds like bullshit. That it happens all the time. Well, I that sounds like something that guys say happens all the time, but doesn't actually happen all the time. Like, she accused me of rape. Like, that does not happen all the time. That rarely happens. Anyway, all right, onward. Read a story where a human found out he was sterile. A random medical checkup. At about 6 years old, he had 3 daughters. Yep. And again, if that happens to dudes, they've done it to themselves, because it's not hard to get a paternity test. If you think you're the father and you're okay with it, then, that's fine. If you find out in your 60s that you're sterile and you got 3 kids who are 20s, like, you're their father. I mean, it doesn't matter where she got their sperm from. You're still the father. So, yeah, the court will pay for a DNA test. The court wants a guy. They want to hit the right guy with the child support too. Well, I think the courts do. The courts may not give a shit. I don't know. They just want somebody to pay. McTubis, the Democrats do not have a majority in the Senate. That is a factual untruth. They have 50 seats in the Senate, and 2 of those seats are not exactly strong. They don't vote. They don't unanimously vote with the caucus. They caucus with the Democrats, but they don't unanimously vote with the Democrats. As evidenced with the vote last week to codify Roe, where Manchin voted with the Republicans. So that's a factually untrue statement. They do not have a majority in the Senate. At best, they have 48 seats in the Senate. They have 50 seats that are held by Democrats, but they're not 50 seats that are ideologically held by Democrats. So nice try. Not true. 4 force you to pay regardless. If you actually the father or not. That is untrue in at least in the state of Texas. That's untrue. Almost there. Not consider the difference between country and government. Okay. So militia is the military. So you want? No, I didn't say I want no Second Amendment rights. And that I don't recall anybody actually saying that. So no. Sarge there. Yep, J Sarge Scratchers. I need to add Scratchers to the back end of that name. I have J Sarge. I need Scratchers. J. Dot Sarge Scratchers. There you go. All right. You will be on the wheel. Full name, proper screen name at least. And remember, you have to be present to win. If I spin the wheel and your name comes up on June 1st and you're not present, you don't win. So participation is key. Scrolling. What's this? You see, that's just the thing. Suggesting that Democrats and Republicans are the same is not true. There weren't any Democrats storming the Capitol on. Democrats weren't organizing a coup. Democrats weren't, trying. I mean, they're not the same. They're not even remotely the same. They were. There was a time in the not so within my lifetime that they were practically the same, like two sides of the same damn coin. But that is. I would argue that that's not the same anymore. That's not true anymore. That ship has sailed. Am I 45 minutes behind in chat? Holy Christ. How about we fast forward? We just fast forward. Don't forget to add Nightbot. I'm not adding Nightbot. Oh, you know what? I could. A man can forfeit the rights if the woman agrees or if the child is legally adopted by another person. Is that true? Because I know from my time working in with child services that the parents can give up their rights, their parental rights, unilaterally. And a lot of times in the foster cases that we were dealing with, trying to get kids in foster care adopted, the challenge was getting the father to give up their parental rights. Like the mother had custody and was in the system for whatever reason. The kid was with CPS and in the system. The challenge was getting the father to give up his parental rights because he was trying to get custody from the mother and he was in jail or whatever. He was trying to get custody from the mother or trying to regain custody when he got out or when whatever the circumstance was. He was trying to get the kid out of the system and under his protection and supervision. And that was like getting the mom to give up custody wasn't that hard, wasn't that big of a challenge because she's like, I'm a mess. I want the kid to have a good life. Let him go. And the dad was always like, no, I get my shit together. I want the kid. But the father, she could give up her parental rights, and he didn't have any say over it. It seems unlikely that the father can only give up his parental rights if she agrees for him to give up his parental rights. But like I said, I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure because it's been, Jesus Christ, almost 30 years. Almost 30 years since I've worked with child services. So, divorce rate directly impacts crime rates, child abuse rates, and future divorce rates, as well as document. What also affects divorce rates, crime rates, child abuse, and future divorce rates? Unwanted pregnancies. Unwanted pregnancies, women being forced to bring children to term in conditions where they're not prepared or able to care for a kid. That also increases crime rates. There is a body of work, an economic study, a body of work that has looked at the falling crime rates in the 90s in relation to the abortion rates in the 70s, and the children who were not born into conditions that are conducive to crime and criminal activity. So the children who were not born into households in socioeconomic circumstances that would be conducive to crime in relation to the falling crime rate 15 and 20 years later. There's also a body of work looking at the reverse of that, of children being born into circumstances of poverty and socioeconomic situations that would create unrest, and the fall of the Ceausescu government in Romania 15 years later when the Romanian government banned abortions. Interesting body of work, something to look up when you get a chance, if you have free time and can't sleep. I'm gonna kind of scroll quickly. Marriage is supposed to be till death do you part. That is what they say. That's what they say in their vows. But that's also a social construct. That's a social construct. It doesn't have to be till death do you part. Third and last marriage. Men are not second-class citizens. Did I say they're second-class citizens? I didn't say they're second-class citizens, did I? Being legal to obtain debt, you can go to jail for missing mortgage payments. Oh, there you go. Huh? Men aren't second-class citizens. McTubus. Okay, I got you. Okay. This is fun. This is fascinating. I'm loving this. I really want to make sure I scroll through chat so I don't miss any names to add to the list. People get arrested for attempted suicide when they fail. People do get arrested for attempted suicide. That's correct. They get arrested for attempted suicide and generally put into psychiatric evaluation. I don't know. I don't know anything beyond that. Because cops get called to try and talk a jumper down from a ledge or whatever. But that's the best. That's the best I got to offer there. I don't know what to tell you. I can't. How about a one abortion rule? You can't play golf with unlimited. The abortion is a mulligan. That is the first time I've heard an abortion referred to as a mulligan. That's good stuff. That goes into the comments Hall of Fame, I think. If I had a comments Hall of Fame, that would go into the comments Hall of Fame. There are no statistics that show if elected for BC because of pregnancy problems. A recorded pregnancy per the CDC, if it does not result in live birth, it's an abortion. Right. Miscarriages that happen, and the miscarried cells, whatever stage of the pregnancy process, that have to get evacuated out of the woman's body is considered to be an abortion, even though it wasn't a viable embryo. That is considered an abortion. Even if it was a viable embryo, it's considered like a viable embryo and a non-viable embryo at 4 weeks are both considered an abortion. That's 100% true. I know this. This intimately. She agrees, or someone else legally adopts them. Okay, so the parents can give up rights in the case of a legal adoption. All right. So I guess it was every time we were talking to the moms about giving up their rights so that the kid could be adopted, it was conditional on the adoption actually going through, I guess. I wasn't usually the lead on the cases. I was like the second or third or fourth in line. on the information. So I don't remember very well. It's been 30 years. Um, but I gotta say, um, I don't know if the laws are the same in Texas. I don't know. Okay. McTubis pay for what? Got busy. Their abortions, their college debts, blah, 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 blah. Are we down to the bottom yet? Nope, not yet. I'm the upper tiers, worked my ass off to cover 25 years to get there, only to be take home not better than what I was making fresh out of college. Right, why bother? Why bother working at all? That makes sense, sure. Why bother? Um, income tax started. Country was founded on being anti-tax. No, it wasn't. McTubis, that is not true. The country was not founded on being anti-tax. My wife makes bank, so I call shenanigans. Yeah, I know how the tax tiers work too. When you don't when you're making six figures, you're not making the same as when you're making 25. Your take home is not the same as when you're making $25,000. It's just bullshit. But sometimes bullshit is just bullshit, and you just let bullshit sit there. You don't have to call all the bullshit out, I suppose. Because I was getting crushed, but that scenario is a bit different. Okay. Oh no, I believe the circumstance. I mean, you paid $100,000 in child support. You know what the laws are in your state with regards to child support. I'm just saying. I don't know if they're different in Texas because of the work that I did. I I really thought we were able to get one parent to relinquish their parental rights, and the other parent was the one that we were always working on. There was always one that we were working on to get them to relinquish, and I thought that they had their own unilateral ability to relinquish their rights. I didn't think that they were contingent because there was always one that had their right. They would relinquish their rights like right away. They're like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. We need to get everything on the straight and narrow and the right path. And it was never contingent on the other one saying it was okay. At least not that I can recall. But my memory may be all. Like I said, it's been 30 years. It was the mid '90s when I was doing this work, so I don't know. So yeah, I don't doubt. I don't doubt your scenario and your memory of what you were doing because when you pay $100,000 for child support, you remember that shit. Uh, it's just the laws in Texas. Every state has their own like laws. They're not uniform across all the states. So there you go. People. Fourth Amendment, which may be the most important amendment. The Fourth Amendment, if I recall, is securing your own person. No search without a warrant, if I recall. Correct me if I am wrong. Someone needs to read the Declaration of Independence. Declaration of Independence does not have weight of law. Oh, have I caught up to chat? I've caught up on chat. Dude, $80,000 is good money now. $80,000 right out of college is really good money. Anyway, two states, Cali and New York City. And in a nuclear situation, when non-custodial linkage, unless those two conditions exist, jailed. Well, there you go. I've caught up to fucking chat. Woo! Looky there. I feel like I've accomplished something. Like I've gotten a stack of papers off my desk. Bravo. Bravo to me and you. Chat. Y'all are the fucking all-stars. Y'all kept me working. I'm going to have one more drink. Let's talk about our contest. And then wrap this shit up. How's that sound? This has been a fun, lively conversation. A fun, lively conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thoroughly enjoyed seeing the new faces, or the new names at least. J. Sarge and late Steve and Debbie. Welcome to chat. Welcome to everybody else as well. Moose Gal and John Jacobs and McTubis. Man, McTubis, it has been a long time. It is fun to see your name back scrolling across the screen. Walter and Muscle Shell and Moose Gal and Lazy Nate, of course, jumping back into the party. It's been fun. Thanks. Pretty much finally, not the real one. Ask about the original real ones. For imposing taxes on us without consent. You're talking about being established as a non-tax, an anti-tax country. It's not true. It wasn't an anti-tax country. It was taxation without representation, and there is a whole list of reasons to separate. When in the course of human events becomes necessary for one people to separate the political bonds which tie them to another, it is prudent to list these reasons, etc., etc., etc. There's a whole list of reasons, including quartering troops without our consent, imposing taxes, imposing fees without representation, dismissing our concerns, dismissing our treaties, dismissing our petitions to the government, which is one of the things that is enshrined in our Declaration of our Bill of Rights. I mean, it's fun to say that, and that was maybe one aspect of the establishment of the Declaration of Independence, but it wasn't no taxes. It was no taxes, no taxation without representation. There's like a whole. There's another part to that phrase, and it's fun to say that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's fun to say, oh yeah, they hated taxation. They hated taxation without representation. They did not. They saw the taxes being imposed on them as being oppressive and regressive. And when they petitioned King George to try and raise those levies, he ignored their petition. So that kind of pissed him off, and they reacted as one would expect they should, by saying, you know what, fuck you. That's how you're going to be. That's how you're going to be. But it wasn't no taxation. It was no taxation without representation. There's like more to that. Just like Congress shall make no laws is not the entirety of the First Amendment. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed is not the entirety of the Second Amendment. Of is not the entirety of the Sixth Amendment. And is not the entirety of the Ninth Amendment. You know, there's whole words that go around these other words that put context in and give it meaning. So yeah, and also, by the way, every July 4th, I do read the Declaration of Independence. Last year, I believe, if it wasn't last year, it was the year before last. I read it right here in this chair, on this channel. And there's a 90% chance, or a very high chance, that this July 4th, I'll be doing it again right here as a 4th of July spectacular, right here on the channel. Because it's it is, if not my favorite, certainly one of my favorite civic holidays. It is the day which we recognize the basic foundational principles on which our government was founded. That all men are created equal and endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, including those being life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not all citizens, all men, everywhere, all of us, and women too, are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, which is a great bookend to this entire conversation, because don't do it. Don't do what? Read the fucking Declaration. I know the fucking Declaration, but I have half the goddamn thing memorized. Don't do it. Don't fucking lie about what's in the Declaration of Independence. I know what's in the Declaration of Independence. So there. There is a whole list of reasons. And the list of reasons includes, but is not limited to, taxation without representation, redress of grievances, ignoring the well-being of the colony, There's a whole bunch of reasons, but never, never, never. I mean, Jesus Christ, the country ran on tax. One of the first things that George Washington did was put down a rebellion of whiskey makers in Pennsylvania because they refused to pay their taxes. We were never a country that was opposed to taxes. We were a country that worked on taxes. Taxation without representation is that's the reason for it. One of the primary one of the key reasons was taxation without representation. As long as we had representation, presumably they'd have been cool with it. And literally, one of the first things that George Washington did was put down a rebellion of whiskey makers in Pennsylvania. So don't say it had nothing that we're a country that's opposed to taxes. That's what makes the country run. It's just cuckoo bird crazy. Cuckoo bird crazy. Uh, 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 send over a link. You've seen one in a real person. The pursuit of happiness in this context actually, yeah, it does. Arguably. And taxing you to send $40 billion to Ukraine represents you. I said this early in the days of the invasion of Ukraine that I personally support Ukraine in the defense of Ukraine and the support and I support Ukraine, the defense of Ukraine, and the support of the defense of Ukraine because not because Ukraine is currently a Western liberal democracy, but because they are a new democracy that is liberalizing and turning their way west. They are working to mash out corruption and professionalize their political corps and professionalize their bureaucratic corps, and working to get out of the sphere of Russian kleptocratic influence. And if we believe in the principles that we say we believe in, then our duty as a country is to defend countries that are trying to also uphold those same principles and same ideals that we believe in. So much the way that defending France or Germany or England or Italy or Poland or Latvia would be representing the interests of the United States, so too is defending Ukraine. More so defending Ukraine than defending Iraq or Afghanistan or Somalia or Chad or some of these other countries that are not Western leaning or not Western turning and liberalizing uh, uh, democracies. Much more Ukraine than any of those other countries, because if we believe in what we say we believe in, uh, freedom of people, of self-determination of people, freedom of speech, freedom of representation, freedom of all these things that we say we believe in, then it's not just our best interest, but our duty to stand up to protect and defend those countries when they come under attack. Um, and in the early days of the war, it was pretty clear that the Western powers were hedging their bets just in case Ukraine collapsed and rolled over real fast. But after about a month or so, when Ukraine actually started not just defending themselves and holding their own, but actually started winning, you saw all the rhetoric and all the support change from we hope we hope they can do it. We'll send stuff to help them defend themselves to actually we hope they win, and then sending stuff to actually help them go on the offensive and counter the invasion. And the recent calls for ceasefire have been a little bit troubling because when you're winning, you don't call for a ceasefire. Ukraine needs to put on some steel-toed boots and kick the shit out of these guys and get them the fuck out of their country. Um, and use the tanks that they've captured and the tanks that they've been given and the resources that they've been given and push them to the fucking border and take back their land and assert their independence and assert their supremacy over their own territory. And then after they assert their supremacy and independence, then they should be included in NATO and codify this support and this alliance and bring them into the fold, because they're certainly a better partner to have than Turkey. They're certainly a better partner to have in the defense of Western democracies than Hungary. So get this shit done. Let's do it. That's why, in my opinion, why it represents you. So, babies don't know. First off, fetuses are not babies, and second off, they don't know happiness because they have not lived a day of their life. They have not lived a day of their life at all. How many of declarations of independence there were made? There was at least 13 that went to the 13 colonies, right? At least 13 original copies. Probably 14 because one had to stay home at the capital. 15 because one went over to England. Probably several more that went to the other capitals in Europe. So Spain and France and Germany. So I'm guessing probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 or so original copies of the Declaration of Independence. There can be all the discussions of anything that anybody wants to have discussed in Scripture, but Scripture is not law in the United States. And even Old Testament priests, Jewish priests, will acknowledge that life does not occur until the first breath is taken. So we are not a theocracy. The Bible has no weight in law, and it should not have any weight in law. When someone says they know all about something, perhaps they might want to know all the facts. 3 are in private hands. Okay. Who could not take breaths at 5 months? Yeah. Highway. Samantha Lee's in the house. Samantha Lee, let's get your name on the list. What is this list he's talking about? Samantha Lee. All right. We're wrapping this up because it is, holy Christ, it's 1 o'clock. Guys, this has been truly fun. We'll reach out to the private owners and different copies. All right. I'm going to switch screens, so I'm not going to be watching chat as closely, but that's fine. I'll be 45 minutes behind the chat again. Debbie, magic fake guy versus real. Okay. Enough of that. Okay, back to our main scene right here. Boom. All right, so first off, guys, thank you so much. This has been a fun, lively conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but don't go anywhere. We have a little bit more to talk about real quick. Real quick, tomorrow night, or not, well, tomorrow night's trivia night, and that will be very important later. But Friday night, we have our Friday nights live with Ryan Adam Wells. Ryan Adam Wells puts on a great show. You're not going to want to miss it. You want to be here live. You want to be here at the distillery, or there at the distillery live Friday night. Doors open at 6, music starts at 7. But if you can't be there live, catch the live stream. I'll start at around 6:45. Music starts at 7. You're going to want to catch that. Ryan puts on a good show. He's a thoroughly entertaining performer, thoroughly fun to listen to, extremely talented artist. Goodness gracious, made myself yawn. Okay, so there's that, Friday Night's Live. But if you look up here at the top of the screen, there's 500, and this says 550, where is that, 553 right there, boop, boop, boop. And this says whiskey giveaway at 550 subs. What the hell am I going to do with a whiskey giveaway? Well, let me tell you. I have a sample of my double oak rye, my award-winning double oak rye, I'll add. I have a sample of my straight whiskey right there, and I have a sample of my special reserve right there. Some lucky winner is going to get each of these. And what I'm going to do is I will take names, put it on the wheel of glory and doom. We will spin it on June 1st on this very show while I'm sitting in this very chair on this very screen. Spin that wheel. And the name that it lands on will get sample flight of all three are award-winning whiskeys. So a sample flight of my award-winning whiskeys, our double oak rye, our straight whiskey, and our special reserve. So how do you get your name on this wheel? Well, I'll tell you how you get your name on this wheel. You can have your name on the wheel multiple times. How do you get your name on the wheel? Let me tell you. First off, you be a subscriber. Whoop. Be a subscriber. Bam, bam, bam. Be a subscriber. Be a subscriber to the channel. If you're a subscriber to the channel, you do any of the other qualifications past this, you will be on the wheel. If you're not a subscriber and you get into chat or trade in boozy bucks or whatever, you do not get on the wheel. If you're not a subscriber, to the channel, screw you. I mean, thanks for coming. I appreciate it, but be a fucking subscriber. I'm not going to send you whiskey if you're not a subscriber. Who do you think you are? No purchase necessary, but subscribing is not purchasing. So there you go. Let's raid a channel before you. Yeah, we can raid a channel. Give me a channel to raid, and we will raid the channel before we leave. Second on the list of things to do, get into chat. Literally what you've done already today. Get into chat. And the people that I've seen in chat, tell me if I miss your name. Names that I've seen, J. Sarge Scratchers, John Jacob, McTubis, Walter Kurt, Moose Gal's Corner, Debbie did 9/11, Muscle Shell, Steve, Erpenbeck, Lazy Nate, and Samantha Lee's Originals. If I missed your name, let me know. Ideally, you let me know right now by putting your name up here in chat. Say, me, you missed me. I'll get you there. Every show that you come to over the next 2 weeks, so you have today, tomorrow's trivia, Friday's live, then next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and if I do a daily live stream, a day in the life live stream, and you get into chat on that, boom, you're in. So you have at least 6 opportunities including today, at least 6 opportunities between now and the 1st of June to get your name on the board. So you can have 6 entries on the wheel just by saying hi in chat, showing up the show, go hi, you're done, you're in. 3, the third way you can do it, share the channel or a video. Share the channel or a video. So you can share the channel. You can share the channel once, 6 times, 12 times, 95 times. Share the channel on YouTube in the community section so I know you did it. If you do it on any other social media, let me know. Tag the Old Humble Distilling Company in the social media where you share the channel. We have 6 videos. This one, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, live music. Next week, Wednesday. Next week, Thursday's trivia. Next week's Friday, live music. And then the actual giveaway show on June 1st. You can share all 6 of those videos, 6 more entries onto the wheel. But again, I got to know you shared it, so tag me when you share it. Tag the Old Humble Company when you share it, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or TikTok or YouTube. Wherever you share it, tag me on it, let me know. Then you're entered in. Boom, poof, just like that. 4th, and finally, you can swap out your boozy bucks. You've got 10 boozy bucks, you can swap out 10 boozy bucks for an entry onto the wheel. So if you have 60 boozy bucks, you can get 6 more entries on the wheel. You have 30 boozy bucks, 30 entries. However you want to divide 10 by the number of boozy bucks you have. If you have, let's say, 45 boozy bucks, you can get 4 entries on the wheel because I'm not going to give you a half entry. I can't do that. And how do you get boozy bucks? That's cuckoo. What the hell even is a boozy buck? Thursday night trivia. The winner for Thursday night trivia gets 20 boozy bucks. Second place gets 10. Third place gets 5. So there you go. There's boozy bucks on the line for trivia. So Thursday, you have 2 more opportunities, tomorrow and next Thursday, to get more boozy bucks to swap into getting on the board. So if you could theoretically, if you have, let's say, 30 boozy bucks, you could get 6 entries by chat, and then 6 entries by sharing the video. So that's 12, and then 4 more entries by swapping out your 40 boozy bucks. And then boom, you're on the board. What is that, 16 times? You're on the board 16 times. 17, because you can share the channel too. And thank you for sharing the channel. So that's how, I get notifications whenever we're mentioned in a post. So if you share a video, any of the video links on the community tab on YouTube, I get notified. If you do it anywhere else and you tag me, I get my notifications. I know that we've been shared and I know that we've been tagged. If you get into chat, I mean, I can see chat. I write the names down. You saw me doing it. I write the names that make the whole world chat. Bum, bum. Can't you gonna keep it the words, the baby, the brace, and all right, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. What else? So there you go. I mean, you basically just do the stuff. You participate with the show over the next this week and next week, over the next 2 weeks. You participate with our shows, participate with our live shows. Do just be a member of the community, participate, and then your name will get on the board, and hopefully we'll have a whole bunch of, we won't just be one person with 16 slots. We'll have like 5 or 6 or 12 people, which would be great. We'll have a whole list of people. Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 names on the board right now. So there's 10 names on the board, and there's a very real possibility that those 10 names will be on the board 6 times each between now and next Friday. There's a very real possibility that those names could be on the board 6 more times each. So that's how you maximize your chances. Someone's going to do the maximum effort. Somebody's going to put in maximum effort. Somebody's going to have their name on the board 12 times. So you might as well do the same thing, right? I mean, go for it, right? Or don't. I mean, I'm not the boss of you. I'm just saying, if it were me, I'd take advantage of it because these are delicious. And this is the first time we've done this, give away sample flights. I've given away a bottle. So, you'd have just one bottle. But this is the first time I've given away samples of each one. So you have a portion of each bottle. So you can try all 3. So there you go. That's how you do it. That's I got to get the boozy bucks off the screen. Bye-bye. So there you go. And you can get more boozy bucks tomorrow, Thursday, and next Thursday. I haven't seen the questions yet for this week's trivia, but no doubt it's going to be tough. You can earn, and maybe it's $20 for the winner of the trivia. Lisa should be on the show tomorrow night. I'll get the link up and running. You can share it out tomorrow after I have it up. In fact, I'll probably put it together tonight. It's not too late. It's almost 1 o'clock. But we'll be wrapping this up in about 5 minutes. Muscle Shell, what channel are we rating? Let's do a raid, kids. What channel are we rating? What channel are we rating? What channel? What channel? What channel? Oops, are we rating? What channel are we rating? I've got 5 minutes. We go raid a channel. We raid with, what do we call it? Whiskey Raiders? Deadpool 26. Hashtag Old Humble Raid. Hashtag Old Humble Raid. 7 more shots. That'll fucking kill me, McTubus. Let's go to it. What is it? Deadpool 26. Deadpool 26. Who's this? Where's Deadpool 26? Hashtag Old Humble Raid. Where the fuck is Deadpool 26? I can't do it on my computer. That is, if I tried to do it on my computer. Oh, it's Dreadpool with an R. Maybe if I spelled right. Dreadpool 26. There it is. Dreadpool 26. Are they live? Catzilla live. Let me see if I can pull this up on my YouTubes. Let me see. Every time I try this, it fails miserably. So drop the hashtag Old Humble Raid. When you show up, there's only like 3 people in the channel though, or in my channel. Do we have? Has everybody bailed on us? Let's see here. Yeah, this raid's gonna suck. Is Safety Doc live? Safety Doc is live right now. That's it. Safety Doc's live. Let's go to Safety Doc. The Old Humble Raid. Everybody raid Safety Doc. There he is. Oops. Old Humble Raid. Woo! McTubus is already there. Do your thing, boys and girl, or girl and boy, whichever. Do your thing. McTubus is already bailed. He's over on Safety Doc's page already. He can't hear you. But there's only going to be like 2 people go over there because there's only like 3 people on the channel right now. And I'm not even listening. He's only got 4 people in his chat. And then we'll swap over to Dreadpool too. Where the hell is it? But people actually got to show up. All right. Dreadpool 26. All right. Time to wrap it up, kids. One more shot to say goodnight. Cheers and good night. Boop. There you go. Tomorrow night, trivia. We will see you all, hopefully, and friends tomorrow night. I'll be heading over to Dreadpool 26 and then Safety Doc for a couple for about 5 minutes probably. Cheers and good night. Bye.